weekday mornings from 7 to 10. It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
One more win. That's all the Oklahoma City Thunder need to wrap up the NBA title after knocking off the Indiana Pacers last night in Oklahoma City. Welcome into Sports 56 Mornings on this Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Siggers with you, broadcasting live and local from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure located at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. It's already felt like summer for a while, but officially summer begins on Friday. For all your summer fun, really for all your year-round fun, you need to head over to Family Leisure. I'm sure there's something there you're going to love. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And with the heat and with the humidity, means a good chance for a lot of pop-up showers and thunderstorms. And yes, they're back in the forecast today. Currently 73 degrees. Showers expected, possibly some thunderstorms. 40% chance. So again, it's not always 90, 95% chance that it's going to happen. Sometimes it's below 50%, but you may see some rain where you are today. The high temperature of 88 degrees. Then tonight, a few clouds. Stray shower or thunderstorm possible with a low of 74. Tomorrow looks nice, even though the temperature will climb into the 90s, 91 degrees for a high with mostly sunshine and a little bit of clouds. Coming up on the program today, as I mentioned, we'll talk NBA Finals as the Thunder pulled within one win of winning the NBA title. Tonight could be the clincher for the Florida Panthers. They could go back-to-back in the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Desmond Bane makes his first appearance at the Magic facilities yesterday in Orlando. We got some Tigers athletics to talk about, as today the Tigers on tour, their first stop in Arlington. We'll give you all the details about that. Lots of Major League Baseball news, including the return of Shohei Ohtani, pitching for the first time in a couple of years. Hunter Goodman, another huge game for the Colorado Rockies. And at the College World Series, we had near perfection, but we did have a no-no. And the Arkansas Razorbacks, well, they were the ones involved in that. Gage Wood was incredible. We'll give you the update on what's happening at the College Baseball World Series. Connor O'Gara will join us at 7:25 to talk all things college football as we're getting closer and closer to SEC Media Days and then camps opening up in the start of the season. At 8:05, the head coach of the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn, scheduled to join us. We'll have Humdinger's trivia right before Coach Quinn joins us. And then at 9:05, Sean McFetrich is scheduled to pinch hit for Mickey Barker today. He's the facility manager at Galloway Golf Course as we have our weekly golf segment. We'll take your calls and your texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. That's your lineup for this Tuesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. What's going on?
Not much.
Not much. That's all you have to say?
I was just looking at something here.
Okay. Well, last night, Oklahoma City got the job done, winning 120-109, holding serve on their home court. It got interesting after the Thunder jumped out to a 14-point halftime lead, 59-45, as little T.J. McConnell, I say little, he's much taller than me, but little T.J. McConnell went crazy in the third quarter to basically keep the Pacers within striking distance because, unfortunately for them, Tyrese Halliburton was not his usual self. He was banged up, leg injury to go along with, I think he had a calf, and just was not what they needed. And maybe Rick Carlisle made a strategic mistake in the fourth quarter that we'll talk about. But in any case, Oklahoma City, they're really good. This just in. And when that lead had dropped to 2 points, all of a sudden they put it into another gear. And then the Pacers committed 4 straight turnovers on 4 straight possessions. And in the end, it was the Stars starring. Jalen Williams with 40, SGA with 31 and 10 assists, so a combined 71 from those two guys. And the Thunder grabbed that 3-2 series lead. They'll go to Indianapolis for Game 6 on Thursday, where the Pacers will try to what, Eli?
They'll have to try and stave.
They'll try to stave and force a Game 7. But, yeah, game went last night pretty much as planned. The battle from the Pacers, which we expected, the comeback from the Pacers, but Oklahoma City just too good.
Yeah, I mean, that's Jalen Williams back-to-back games where he's been really good, and he was absolutely awesome last night. His ability, like those,
I know what you're going to say.
I guess you call them layups, but he's just like, he comes down the lane and he's not that close to the rim, and the ability to get it over defenders high off the glass with perfect touch every time is absolutely amazing.
Well, he's able to absorb contact and then still follow through and usually hit a fall-away bank shot. So, yes, he's absolutely incredible. But the fact of the matter is, I love those strong guards, Desmond Bain being one of them, of course, Delta Orlando. But they can absorb that contact as opposed to getting knocked all over the place like a slider guard would.
But, yeah, I mean, Williams and SGA, when that game got close, you could see that it was kind of a thing of, we're not letting this happen again. And SGA doing it on both ends because he had a couple of steals there and a block in that series. He was, and then still doing his thing on the offensive end, and Williams doing so much on the offensive end. Again, with the Pacers, and really that first half, that was the kind of prototypical Thunder basketball, turnovers leading to immediate buckets on the other end before you even have a chance really to blink an eye. They've already scored. Live ball turnovers absolutely kill you, and Indiana kept doing them. Pascal Siakam kept turning the darn ball over. They survived game 1 when they had a bunch of turnovers. You're turning it over 23 times against the Thunder. Good luck. I mean, that's hard to overcome.
The Thunder in game number 4, in which they were able to win somehow, were 3 of 16 from 3. Last night, they opened up the game by going 4 of 6 from 3. So they rode the wave of that crowd. They hit shots early. They set the pace. And as I said, they had a 14-point halftime lead. Halliburton had 0 points at the half. So they were in cruise control. But, again, credit Indiana. Maybe there's something about Oklahoma City that just they get into a lull at times. But I think it's a combination. The Pacers come back again behind McConnell, who was absolutely tremendous. Halliburton only took 6 shots for the game. 4 of them from 3, was 0 of 6. He hit 4 free throws. Now, he did have 7 rebounds. He did have 6 assists. And when the cry was for him to not play by the likes of Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith and probably a lot of people watching the game in the fourth quarter, the way McConnell had played, all of a sudden he looked better on his wheel, but he wasn't scoring. And then, although he had only 3 total turnovers, he was still a part of that Indiana team that couldn't get the ball over half court. They were getting hawked by Oklahoma City with their great defense. They turned it over, as I said, 4 consecutive trips down the court, and that, for all intents and purposes, did them in. And so the talk was, should McConnell have been in the game? Now, Rick Carlisle went to McConnell with about 3.5 minutes to go, but by that time it was probably too little too late. So when you have an ineffective, and I know Halliburton got you there, and this is not a knock on Halliburton. He was banged up, and he's playing, and he's doing the best he can, but he was, I don't know, 70% of what he could have been, maybe less. And you had McConnell, who was running around in circles and kind of frustrating Oklahoma City. I'm not going to doubt Rick Carlisle. He's an NBA champion. He's a great coach. But I even wondered about that, whether or not McConnell should have been in there. I don't know if it would have made a difference or not, but once it started to slip away, you throw McConnell in there. But I guess you got to ride the horses that got you there.
Yeah, it's certainly a tough decision. But as effective as McConnell was, as that game started to unravel and get away from me in the fourth, you would think maybe you go back to him. And it doesn't have to be for Halliburton. It could be for Nemhard. I mean, Nemhard was turning it over and struggling as well. I understand the idea that you want Tyrese Halliburton, because there's been other games in these playoffs where Halliburton hasn't been that good, but then when it gets to crunch time, he's been fabulous and he hits big shots and all of that stuff. So I would have certainly probably gone to him earlier than what they did, because that third quarter, he was terrific. And he just changes the game when he gets out there. The energy he brings, it becomes infectious. And I do think the Thunder were probably going to play him differently, I think, in that fourth quarter if he had come in the game and been a little more focused on trying to stop him. But his ability to get in the paint seemingly at any time is incredible, and just finds a way to either find somebody else or slithers inside, and somehow you always think he's going to get this one blocked, and nope, he somehow gets it up and scores. But it's with what they've had, the success they've had, and what Halliburton's done in crunch time, certainly would be really difficult, even with him banged up, to take him out of the game in that situation.
So Jalen Williams ends up hitting 14 of 25 shots. Just incredible. Between him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they got to the free throw line 26 times. They hit 22 of 26. It is almost impossible to knock off a team that good, especially how good they are defensively, when on offense, one, they're getting inside. They're getting higher percentage shots. They're not relying on the three, and they're getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, they went 21 of 21 between them in Game 4 last night, 22 out of 26. They not only get to the free throw line, but they generally make their free throws. So you're talking 43 made free throws between the two of them in the last two games. But they are relentless attackers of the basket. I mean, they are not going to be denied getting into the paint. And SGA especially is unbelievably good at drawing contact. And you get your hand in the wrong spot for half a second, he'll bring his arms up through it, get the foul call, and he rarely misses free throws. Those two guys, it was like you could just almost feel like Indiana got within two, and they were like, we are not allowing this to happen. Doesn't matter. If y'all want to play defense or whatever, that's great. And then Dort hits a couple of big threes, but it was us two will handle the offensive end. Y'all just come along for the ride. If I do pass it to you, you're wide open, go ahead and shoot it. But otherwise, we got this. And they were absolutely incredible.
That's another thing I love about this team is the unselfishness. They know who the scorers are. And then when they need to score, a Chet Holmgren will go inside and he'll get a shot. He doesn't shoot it he hasn't shot it that well in the series, but we know how he can be. He can dominate a game in stretches. Lou Dort, you mentioned, who hit 3 of 6 threes. I'm shocked he missed 3. Every time I watch Lou Dort take a 3, he makes it seems like. And the way he plays defense, you just get that added bonus of him making big threes. He gets you 8 rebounds. He adds 3 assists. He gets 2 steals. He has 1 block. You look at the box score, and it's like that for all these guys in all the categories. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 4 blocks. SGA had 4 blocks to go along with 31 points. Jalen Williams had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal to go along with 40. Holmgren had 3 blocks to go along with his 11 rebounds and 9 points. Hardenstein, I thought, came out really good in the first quarter. I thought he gave him good minutes as opposed to getting back into the starting lineup in Game 4. And he goes for 8 rebounds. Doesn't have to score 4 points. Only played 21 minutes. I mentioned Dort's line. And then you have, Caruso didn't have his best game. He was 1 of 8 from the field, 2 points, but he was that annoying pest as he always is defensively and got 4 steals. And then Aaron Wiggins picked up for Caruso's lack of scoring off the bench as Wiggins goes for 14. They just have so many weapons. They're such a good team. They adjust so well. And right now they're in the driver's seat. Let's check in with our buddy, the young man. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought OKC, they came out with a lot better energy. At times it waned, as we saw in that third quarter. And you said you attribute that both ways. I attribute it more to Indiana. I thought TJ McConnell was absolutely tremendous in that third quarter. I wouldn't have minded seeing going back to him earlier in that fourth quarter with the struggles of Tyrese Halliburton. But I don't think it would have mattered ultimately. Jalen Williams was an inferno last night. He was giving me shades of Paul Pierce, the way that he was finishing and getting to his spots in the mid-range, knocking down jump shots. Shea was his normal self. He looked really good. 10 assists for Shea last night after 0 in Game 4, a big-time bounce-back game. Playmaking-wise for Shea. And, off the bench, Aaron Wiggins and Cason Wallace, I thought, turned the game for the Thunder. They were crucial in maintaining the lead. Big Game 5.
Elijah, you're absolutely right. They were getting to their spots. That's a great point. SGA gets to his mid-range spot, wherever it is. He has a few of them, and he's able to knock down that shot with that smooth jumper that doesn't touch anything but net. And then Jalen Williams, we talked about him earlier. He can absorb a bump and still finish. I thought Holmgren was getting hacked all over the place. He wasn't the beneficiary of a lot of calls, it didn't seem like. Holmgren, he had a right to complain. That guy didn't shoot one free throw. I don't know how many times he went up and got hacked.
Your points, and that's like, yes, if I'm Rick Carlisle, would I have probably gone to TJ McConnell? Yes. It was not changing the outcome of that game. With Williams and SGA in that fourth quarter, we're not allowing them to lose that game. They just went into a mode of, you could just see it, like they're like, nope, not happening again. We are not allowing that in this building again.
I'd like to see more, and I said he was going to be really important for Indiana before the series started. I'd like to see more from Miles Turner. I just don't think at times he has the motor going, but he's not always got that motor going. And sometimes he's out there and you forget that he's out there. And he just has to be more forceful, better. He plays 25 minutes. That's not a ton. He should be well rested every time he's in there. Gets you 6 rebounds. That's at 13 points. Only shoots it 5 times. When you had Halliburton really struggling offensively, you got Siakam, but you need somebody else. Obviously, Toppin has given them a lot. He had 12 points off the bench in this game. And last night they got the big game from McConnell. So they got 30 between Toppin and McConnell. But I'd like to see a little bit more forceful Miles Turner. It's almost like he wants to avoid contact, doesn't want to play the physical game that Hartenstein wants to play. Even Holmgren, he plays, he's lanky, and it doesn't seem like it, but he plays a physical game. So Indiana, Thursday, you already said yesterday, Elijah, that you think it's going to go to 7, right?
I think so, yes.
Eli?
Depending on what Halliburton's health is, I mean, the way he looked just health-wise last night, if he's not healthy, I don't see any way they win.
Yeah, that's the issue now because the leg, it's certainly prevented him from being who he is. And if there's going to be a lot of treatment. It'll be happening today, and hopefully he'll be close to 100%. But if he struggles, if he labors out there in Game 6, again, I understand that he's your guy. But if you can get those type of minutes from McConnell, you got to at least try that. And I'm sure Carlisle, who's a very intelligent coach, will do that if he doesn't think Halliburton can give him what he needs to give him. But hopefully for Indiana's sake, it will be Halliburton. And again, when he came back in that game in the fourth quarter, he looked better. I don't know if it was just they popped a couple Tylenol and he felt good, but he wasn't playing. He wasn't exploding. And how many times did you see Halliburton get it at the top of the key, like Nembhard handed off or Neesmith, and then Chet Holmgren's out there. You turn around and you got this 7-foot lurky guy just right on top of you, and you can't really shake him. That happened an awful lot last night. And then Indiana does a good job really throwing quick passes. Both these teams are really good in playing hot potato with the ball. I look at like a team like the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are not that good at that. These guys are really good. The handoffs, just the quick passes, great screens that are being set by both teams. But I'll tell you, I love watching Siakam. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I know he's an all-star. I know he's an NBA champion. He's really, really good. I mean, really good. And he throws his body around as well. So, yeah, I don't think it would be a surprise, like Elijah said, that Indiana gets it done on Thursday and forces a decisive Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, certainly they can. No, I mean, it doesn't, quite frankly, matter because if it goes to Game 7, Oklahoma City's winning it. But it could go exactly like the Denver series.
Well, that's why I said yesterday that I agreed with Charles Barkley that the series is over. I don't mean the competitiveness. That's why I said yesterday, no, you better watch the series because it's going to be great. It's going to be hard fought and entertaining. But as far as the result, I don't see how Indiana, who now has to win games 6 and 7, but going into last night, best 2 or 3, while Indiana was capable. I said this yesterday on the show. I didn't think it was going to happen, so I thought in that sense the series is over, that there's no way Oklahoma City's losing the series. And now you could double down on it. Again, it would be stunning, not because Indiana's really good, but they're in a 3-2 hole now. With Game 7, if they win Thursday at home in Oklahoma City. So that's why I just got to double down, and Oklahoma City's not losing this thing. It would be stunning to me if Indiana can come back and win. Again, can they give them a battle? Can they win Game 6? There's no question about it. Can they make it a hard-fought Game 7? Yes. But in the end, there's just too many weapons with the Thunder. All right, we'll take our first time out. When we come back, we shift gears. Connor O'Gara joins us from Saturday Down South. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a huge selection and the best prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers.
Every success you've had began with a great opportunity. Now here's another one. Last aid year, University of Maryland Global Campus awarded over $21 million in scholarships to qualified students, including community college students, service members, veterans, and working adults. Now is the time to move your career forward with an online and accredited skills-based education. Learn more at UNGC.edu. Certified to operate in professional.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a moving that fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf, or one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets, count your blessings, not your calories.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Palo Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Palo Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Trying to wrap up this truck crash. It happened a little bit earlier over here on 40 eastbound at White Station. As of the last check, it was still a little bit slow trying to get up through there on 40 eastbound at White Station on this 18-wheeler, and the car tangled up over here on this side of town. It's starting to build with more volume down I-40 westbound passing Germantown Parkway down to Sycamore View Road. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them today and shop local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:26 the time. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you on this Tuesday, June 17th, 2025, broadcasting live and local from the Family Leisure Studios. Every other Tuesday, we talk college football and some other things as well with our good friend Connor O'Gara.
It's time to talk some SEC and college football. Joining Greg and Eli is Connor O'Gara from SaturdayDownSouth.com and SaturdayTradition.com. Here's Connor O'Gara with Greg and Eli.
He is the senior national columnist for Saturday Down South, host of the Saturday Down South podcast. He is Connor O'Gara. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. As I said, he joins us every other Tuesday here on Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning, Connor.
Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing good. We have not had you on since the House settlement, since it finally came to be. And now, of course, there's so much chaos. There always was. But there's so much going on, and now the lawsuits are starting to roll in and things of that nature. But rev sharing officially begins in a couple of weeks. So your initial reaction to, again, something that was expected, the House settlement, but now that it has happened, your thoughts?
I think I'm most interested in the College Sports Commission, which it was essentially hired by the Power Conference commissioners to be the new enforcement agency and take over the NCAA. And so the NCAA has admitted time and time again, hey, we can't handle how big college football has gotten. Well, when you're hired by the Power Conference commissioners, the people that have all the power in this sport, and will always have all the power because there's no such thing as a college football commissioner that will ever happen because they're not going to give up power, then how much are they going to defer to the College Sports Commission? Are we going to go back to the days of the bagman in college football? Because if you look at the way this breaks down with Deloitte Clearinghouse now having these anything above $600 third-party NIL deals being reviewed, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they're going to try and keep as much of this off the books as humanly possible. And what does that create then if they're unable to enforce? And are we going to be back at the same place that we were at kind of pre-NIL? Or will this actually be a true enforcement agency? Will we see real legitimate punishments handed out? Because, look, guys, I'm old enough to remember when a certain Todd Gurley was suspended 4 games during his pre-draft season for $3,000 worth of autographs.
Yep.
Have we moved to a different place with that? I don't know, and we're not going to know until we actually see this play out and we see how strict they are.
And we don't know exactly, I guess, how they'll figure these things out. But with the clearinghouse, if you had to guess, what percentage of the NI deals that were done, say, this past year would have been rejected by the clearinghouse based on their rules?
Didn't they say like 80% or something? I mean,
Holy
a lot.
smokes, really?
Yeah,
They were requiring nothing. I mean, it was simply paying the kid to come to school there.
Yeah, and so there's going to have to be a different sort of process with that. But yeah, I mean, this was created essentially to try and get collectives out of college football, and I don't think that's realistic. I think that compliance is still going to try and find every possible way to make sure that this is right. But they are going to try and at least do right by the athlete. I hesitate to say student athlete anymore, but they are going to at least try and do right by the athlete with the second step of this process. If they get a deal that's rejected by Deloitte, they have this potential arbitration process, which they're hoping to be able to have figured out, within 45 days, which would be so much faster than the NCAA, so that schools aren't all of a sudden, going ready for a massive rivalry game, and they hear from Deloitte and College Sports Commission, hey, your star quarterback, he can't play this weekend. No, it's going to be a little bit more deliberate than that, which is the good news. But what is that going to look like? Are these athletes going to even know if they're being reviewed for a rejected NIL deal? I just don't know, and it feels like we're all kind of waiting to see how college football, which is the ultimate guinea pig with this stuff, is going to have all this play out.
Yeah, I don't know how they can look at all those cases. I'm not talking about the appeal if they get rejected. I'm talking about at the beginning. They're going to look at everything over $600. I mean, they're going to be constantly 24/7 having to look at things. And then what happens when an athlete is disgruntled about that it wasn't approved and all of a sudden there's a holdout and doesn't want to play?
Exactly. Mess. Just an absolute mess. And, think about what they were brought in to do is give everybody a sense in college football that everybody's on the same playing field, and we're all going to have to go through the same process, and we're not going to pick and choose. This isn't going to be the NCAA where, hey, if you're one of the haves, you can be given favorable treatment by the NCAA. And, we were always so skeptical because they had to pick and choose. I mean, the NCAA couldn't govern all this. There's no way that they could figure out if Team X was above the board and if Team Y wasn't. That's why you would see the cases like UNC, where UNC has, blatant fake classes, and their NCAA is kind of like, well, I guess because you got other students involved, you can't really do anything. And meanwhile, Mizzou has a tutor take some tests for a few football players, and all of a sudden it's, hey, you can't go to a bowl game. I mean, like the NCAA has historically been all over the map, and as the College Sports Commission going to lay down the letter of the law, that's just what we're going to all kind of be on pins and needles waiting to see.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the timeliness of it too. That's what I'm. Because how big of a staff is what's his name, the head of the commission, Seeley? Like, how big of a staff is he going to have? Because you can't have these things drag out for years like the NCAA did with them. I mean, how quickly are they going to be able to make rulings in cases is going to be one of my biggest interesting things about this new commission.
Yeah, I mean, we've got guys that are applying for waivers that are still unsure if they're going to be able to play college football this year. I mean, guys that went through the whole 50-year deal and trying to get that extension because they spent part of their time at JUCO and do the Diego Pavia route, and there's still guys that are going, wait a minute, what do you mean? I'm still sitting here waiting on the NCAA, and if of all the things you can say about the NCAA, prompt certainly wasn't one of them. So if they're able to correct that in itself, I think that'll be a huge win. But at the same time, then if they crack down too quickly on something and it takes everybody by surprise and a star player is missing a pivotal game, we're all going to be like, wait a minute, what? They're actually enforcing this? What do you mean? They have rules that they can stand by, and you can't just sue them and win, a la Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava. Yeah, it's going to be wild to see how all this plays out.
Connor O'Gara joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. You mentioned collectives, and that's where I'm a little bit confused about. With revenue sharing, will the collectives, I guess it's with each individual school, but will the collectives survive? And if that's the case, let's use, for an example, the power conferences and those schools with a ceiling for year one of $20.5 million of rev share. So they have to share with the student athletes $20.5 million, right? Now, what about the collectives? If the collectives still exist, then they could be paying players an additional whatever millions. Does that count on top of the 20.5? I mean, how does that work out? Are the collectives part of the 20.5 rev sharing? Are all the collectives going to go now through the school? Like, how does that work, you think?
Those are the third-party NIL deals that are believed to be separate. And I say believed to be because until we see this actually play out, I'll be skeptical of everything. But that's separate from the $20.5 million. That is supposed to be getting cleared by Deloitte and trying to figure out, what does this look like? What does this look like now in a time in which, if you're getting the huge money, you're not going to be subjected to that. Like Arch Manning, and I talked about this with Christy Dosh, who does great work for Forbes on all things NIL.
Yeah.
I talked about it on my pod. And one of the things I asked was, what if Arch Manning's got a $100,000 deal with Red Bull? Is he getting that cleared too to make sure that's market value? And she's like, well, no, that's not necessarily part of this third party that would be running through the collectives, and the collectives are still going to be facilitating these deals behind the scenes, and that's what's going to be determined what's fair market value, or I guess not even what's fair market value, but what's actually being documented as opposed to what's not.
But do you think, for example, a University of Memphis, a group of 5 school right now, that it would be more advantageous since, look, they're not going to hit $20.5 million rev share, but Memphis is going to do okay compared to other group of 5 schools. I don't know what that number is, but it's going to be okay. But that it would be more advantageous for schools like that to have, instead of the money being put into the collectives, the money being put into rev sharing. But then if that's the case, how are they getting the athletes? Because the athletes won't have that additional NIL money through the collectives. They'll just have the rev share money. So I'm a little confused about where it's all right with Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan, but with smaller schools, where would it be more advantageous for the school for that money to go into NIL through collectives, or would the money be better served going to the university to help in rev sharing?
I would think rev share, because that's you can kind of facilitate that money in an easier way than trying to scrounge up whatever you can in addition to. But that's still going to exist. It's not like and you've seen the headlines already. Ohio State and Texas and Alabama. They're not just going to be like, hey, this is our $20.5 million. This is
right.
We're going to spend 90% of that on football, and that's all our football team's going to be getting. Like, no, this is still going to be NIL. It's again, return to the bag man in college football. I truly think that's going to be the case now with how collectives are going to want to operate, and I don't necessarily blame them, because look, if you've been told you can operate a certain way for a certain amount of time, I'm going to wait and see what this collection agency is going to actually be able to do to enforce these things. And if your competitors are doing the same thing, you'd be foolish not to.
That should be a song. Return of the Bag Man. I like that. Give
Return of the Mac is the single greatest song of the 1990s.
There you go,
gentlemen. So Return of the Bag Man, somebody out there has probably made that. It's a hit. You just got to figure out the hook and all that.
Exactly.
And I'm sure we'll get some estimates. I don't know if we'll ever know the actual numbers, but what the most money any school will be spending simply on their football team this season will be.
The report that came out, and I can't remember who originally had it, and Steve Sarkisian has since shut it down, but that Texas was going to be spending $40 to $50 million. I don't think it's going to be that crazy for a roster. I do think it's going to be well above that 20 million, 20 and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, and I only say 20 and a half, knowing that obviously not 100% of that money is going strictly to the football program at these schools, but I definitely think it'll be above that. I mean, how could it not be in this day and age, especially when you have a market that's already been set to a certain level? It's not like all of a sudden you're going to look at, next year's recruiting class, look at the 5-star quarterbacks and go, well, they're actually making about 20% of what the previous class made. That's just not going to happen. So, I mean, if it is going to be some sort of decrease, it would have to happen over time. But, yeah, there is definitely going to be some expensive rosters next year.
Wasn't there a story about Texas Tech and $55 million or something like that? Am I crazy?
The fighting Cody Campbell's. What Texas Tech is doing right now, across all sports, too, if you want to get into the world of softball, what's going on with that, and Mia Williams, who was committed to Florida since she was 12. That's right, committed since she was 12. The daughter of White Chocolate, Jason Williams. I did a story, and Danica Williams, who's an All-American track athlete of Florida. I did a story on her a few years ago about being committed to Florida for 10 years. And Texas Tech shows up, and boom, just like that, you got yourself a new kind of big three with what they're doing. But yeah, on the football side, they've spent all that money, and they've got the modern approach in place, and they did all these things before the revenue sharing era was made official. And so the fighting Cody Campbells that have spent a lot of money, I don't know that it's I'm always skeptical of what that final number is, but I'm fascinated to see the way that this plays out for them, because I have them making the college football playoff. I have them winning the Big 12 with a roster that was overhauled, especially in the trenches, via the portal. And I think that's going to be such an interesting case study for a program that was just stuck in obscurity for so long. And their best claim is that Patrick Mahomes came there and, had one bowl game appearance. Like that's really it. So, that Texas Tech is going to be a team, not just in college football, but really across all athletics, that everybody's going to be watching.
I know you wrote about this. Vince Marrow leaving Kentucky for Louisville. How bad is that for Mark Stoops?
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And if a Kentucky fan wants to say, you know what, he hasn't really helped with wins and losses as much, Stoops has kind of stopped listening to him as much on personnel decisions. They've had 3 consecutive disappointing seasons. He's not going to make or break what happens this year. I get that perspective. This is a guy that Mark Stoops was buddies with in high school. I mean, at Cardinal Mooney in Youngstown, Ohio. And if you know their dynamic, they've been more like siblings. This was Stoops' first hire at Kentucky, the longest tenured SEC head coach. This is someone who, yes, was technically given the title of tight ends coach, but everybody knew that Vince Marrow's job was way beyond that. He put out fires, and he was basically the internal man, like the right-hand man to Stoops. And to think that they had such a falling out over the course of time to where in the middle of the offseason, in June, the busiest month on the recruiting calendar, Vince Marrow leaves, and not just leaves Kentucky after repeatedly saying he's going to end his career there, but leaves for Louisville. It's unheard of. It's absolutely unheard of, and I don't want to say it's biblical proportions of what that means in that rivalry, but it is a really big deal, and for the SEC's longest tenured coach, it is a sign that he could be very much on the decline and on the way out.
With all of the off-the-field stuff because of revenue sharing, which will continue to be a story, obviously, throughout the season, everything else, it's going to be how much money are these guys making, who's doing this, how much are they spending on their team, all of that stuff. Right now, if you had to guess, what will be the big on-field story in the SEC this season?
It's got to be Arch Manning, right?
Could be Arch Manning. There's going to be a certain level of Arch fatigue, especially if Texas makes the playoff, which I expect they will. Look, I'm doing my best to dial it back with some of this because I get it. And we've been talking about Arch since, the last 5-6 years, it feels like. So yeah. I think he's going to be a huge story. Is it Brian Kelly's time? That's what I think is so interesting. Is it Brian Kelly's time to win a national championship? I picked LSU to win a national title this year, and I'm a believer in what he did from a roster management standpoint, the sense of urgency that they've had, and I've talked about it before, but just everything they did in the portal after Garrett Nussmeier announced that he was coming back. It just screams urgent, very Ohio State-ish with what they were able to do in the portal. And I think that in a wide-open SEC, I think LSU is the team that emerges. But that's going to be a storyline. Kalen DeBoer, year 2 at Alabama, is he going to gain more supporters? Is he going to lose, the supporters that he has, myself included? I'm just fascinated. I think those are going to be the 3 things that kind of dominate the SEC this year.
You're talking about LSU, too, because I keep looking at the odds for, I don't understand why LSU's odds to win it all are so low. They're plus 1,700. There's 9 teams ahead of them. And I look with first of all, just having a quarterback like that coming back would automatically put them higher on my list.
My only take on that is that people like to bet against Brian Kelly. And that's really what this comes down to. People like to see Brian Kelly lose, and people like to bet against Brian Kelly. Just go look at those takes that are going to come out week 1 if they lose that game at Clemson, the Battle of Death Valley. If LSU comes out and just looks overwhelmed and still cannot get a win in the 2020s in a season opener, which is just the weirdest stat of the 2020s, that LSU has yet to win a season opening game since the Joe Burrow era. To me, that's going to be such an interesting thing to watch develop. And we know how those conversations go with Brian Kelly, like, hey, overhyped, overrated yet again, and everybody's going to dismiss LSU, even though the 12-team playoff era certainly allows more grace than ever, and who knows, LSU could be one of those teams that you just don't want to see get hot. You don't want to see what they could do if they get in the field at 10-2.
Last thing for you, Connor. I heard this actually driving into work on the national show on Fox about Lenora Sellers, his father saying he turned down an $8 million 2-year offer to go elsewhere. I'm not sure which school offered. I'm not sure if that was revealed in this conversation, but turned that down to stay at South Carolina. What do you know about that?
It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, if you look at the going rate for quarterbacks, not just Carson Beck, that's been the guy that's been talked about a lot, but Darian Mensah, who went from Tulane to Duke, was one of those guys that is believed to be at the top of the NIL market in that $4 million range. So that's kind of market value for what Lenore Stellars, what he did last year. I mean, this is somebody who, in that regular season finale against Clemson, after he just puts that entire team on his back and runs through the entire Clemson defense, Shane Beamer gets to the microphone and says, I don't care what anybody says, this is the best player in college football. And everybody's like, whoa, that is quite the thing to say. And obviously he's got a very biased opinion of that, but you kind of at least had to think about it and what he did in the latter half of the season. There are going to be so many people fascinated to see if Lenore Sellers can take that next step. He's got Mike Shula as his offensive coordinator now. Yes, Mike Shula, that Mike Shula. And what that looks like this year in a post-Al Loggins world is going to be interesting. Had arguably the worst receiver room in the SEC last year and still did unbelievable things. So Lenore Sellers is a fascinating guy to watch. South Carolina's never had an all-SEC quarterback at season's end. Never. And can Lenore Sellers kind of break through and be that guy for them? That'll be, we talked about those three big storylines in the SEC. That's definitely part of the forefront of the conversation that we're going to be having this year.
Man, I feel so good that you're talking about some players and about some teams and some on-field stuff. Man, I can't wait to continue to do that. And we do it every other Tuesday with Connor O'Gara, senior national columnist for Saturday Down South, host of the Saturday Down South podcast. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Thank you, Connor.
Gentlemen, appreciate it.
Take care. The thing that it wasn't the money, the $8 million, which is still eye-popping. It's like the 2-year deal. What's going to happen now when athletes sign multiple-year deals and then try to get out of it after 1 year because somebody else comes a-calling and wants to offer more? I mean, I demand a trade. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. From football to basketball, take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. It's a revolutionary basketball training facility. It combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback with hands-on one-on-one expert coaching. This is for basketball players of all ages. I had my grandsons over there having fun one day playing basically passing drills, and they're hitting targets and they're scoring points. It's like playing a video game, but you're out there being active. So it's fun for the little ones. Obviously, for the aspiring basketball players, it just makes sense. The technology is second to none, and the coaching is second to none. And now you can become a member at either location or both locations. You can do so online at Shoot 360 Memphis, but you can do so on a monthly basis. Month to month. You cannot beat that. You're not bogged down with a long-term contract. So make sure to check out what they have to offer at Shoot 360 Memphis, either by going to one of the locations, whether it be Big Orange Road in Cordova or 85 Market Street in Collierville. You can also call them, which I suggest, set up a tour and see what they have to offer. In Cordova, that number is 901-779-3176. In Collierville, 901-316-5500. If you're driving, you can't write down that number. Don't try to write down the number. Call the station. We'll get the number for you. The future of basketball training is here at Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ. Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in bold print, so you
High blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-379-8420. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-379-8420. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-379-8420. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-379-8420 or biglou.com.
It's time for fun, family, and fabulous prizes at the 67th Annual St. Louis Hole-in-One Charity Festival, Sunday through Saturday, June 15th through 21st. Golfers can win cash and prizes every night, along with the chance to win $25,000 toward a City Auto vehicle purchase select nights. Then a chance to win $1 million the final night. Plus, there are cornhole tournaments every night with cash and prizes. Friday and Saturday nights, there are kids' carnival ride and 2 to 4 Saturday children's golf. So golfers, grab your clubs. Cornholers, practice your aim. Families, bring the kids. Memphis, there's something for everyone. You're invited to the biggest party of the year at St. Louis Church, 203 South White Station Road. The 67th Annual St. Louis Hole-in-One Charity Festival, Sunday through Saturday, June 15th through the 21st. Fun, family, and fabulous prizes all week as you help raise funds supporting youth programs at St. Louis Church.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Speaking of revenue sharing and NIL and all that fun stuff, Dr. Ed Scott, not sure how much he'll talk about it, but I'm sure he's going to address it tonight as he'll be a part of the Tigers on Tour event in Arlington at the Owner's Box.
Lakeland.
At Lakeland, at the Owner's Box, one of our great sponsors here on Sports 56, 6 to 8 tonight at the Owner's Box. As I mentioned, AD, Dr. Ed Scott, coaches Ryan Silverfield, Penny Hardaway, Richard Mulrooney, Brooks Monaghan, all expected to appear. So that should be a fun event. The first of, I think, 4 stops that they'll make, including a stop in Nashville. College Baseball World Series, the night game last night unfortunately ran into weather. LSU leading UCLA 5-3 in a winner's bracket game. They're only in the top of the 4th. They will resume that game this morning, weather permitting, at, I believe, 10 a.m., if I'm not mistaken, 10 a.m. Central Time in Omaha. And then the regularly scheduled games for today will follow. That'll be Oregon, Louisville in an elimination game, and then Arkansas in an elimination game. But again, we don't know who they'll play because of the situation with UCLA and LSU. But we do know that Arkansas yesterday, they staved off elimination. They eliminated the Cinderella Racers from Murray State, a 3-0 win, and just one of the great pitching performances of all time. Gage Wood, as far as the College Baseball World Series, he tosses a no-hitter, the third no-hitter, and the first one since, I want to say, the mid-'60s?
1960.
1960, before I was born, for goodness sakes. That's how long ago that was. 19 strikeouts for Gage Wood, had a perfect game going into the 8th inning. Just a masterful pitching performance. Not only one of the great pitching performances in College Baseball World Series history, but really in recent baseball history. You got to think about some of the great pitching performances we've had in the big leagues, but that one was very, very special.
He was, he was as dominant as you could ever see. It reminded me of watching the Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game. Like, they had no chance. I mean, there was just no hard hit balls. Like, it was just an absolute domination. And that's a good Murray State offense that has put up a ton of runs through the regionals and super. Like, they can score some runs. And they had no chance whatsoever against him. He was locked in. He made himself a lot of money, I'm going to guess, yesterday. He's already, he was people had him kind of I think I saw some that had him as a second rounder. But you turn in a performance like that at the College World Series, that's going to open some eyes. I mean, his fastball, was spotting it wherever he's got it done. Great fastball, but his curveball was insane. I mean, it just an absolutely incredible performance. Had the other hit the batter in the 8th inning to ruin the perfect game. Hit a guy in the 9th. They then overturned that, said that he had put his arm in front of that pitch, so they called him out. But yeah, there was no chance. Murray State just had no chance whatsoever against him.
Well, to your point, Murray State is a great hitting team, and they deserve to be in Omaha, but I don't think any of the teams yesterday would have fared much better against Gage Wood. He was absolutely engaged. It was a tremendous performance, one for the ages, and the Razorbacks again still alive, and they'll be back in action tonight once again trying to stave off elimination.
It's crazy too because he was one of the guys he had got out in the 9th inning. I think it was the second out in the 9th inning. Was his went to the same high school as him. They didn't play together, but they went to the same high school, which is just crazy.
It really is. Good action. Hopefully the weather will cooperate starting today after the rain again forced the nightcap last night, the LSU game versus UCLA, to be suspended. We will take a timeout. When we come back, we open up hour number 2 with Humdinger's Trivia. That'll be followed by the head coach of the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Something amazing is happening in data management. Even though storage needs are constantly changing, companies are only paying for what they need now. That's because CDW customized a pure storage Evergreen One SLA-driven storage as a service solution that delivers enterprise-grade hybrid cloud storage that is effortless, efficient, and evergreen.
Andy Wise here. For 6 years, I've endorsed Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South as the standard in affordable luxury. Now get this. Pella just got more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments on what Consumer Reports has rated the highest quality windows on the planet, plus 50% off installation. That includes consumer guarantees no other window company will ever match. You have my word. You'll make the wise choice when you choose Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South.
Spring is in the air, and it's the perfect time to grill, chill, and save with Choates. Install a new generator, tankless water heater, or Carrier HVAC system, and you'll get your choice of a free green egg grill or 36 months no-interest financing. Stay powered during storms, enjoy endless hot water, and slash your cooling costs this summer with a high-efficiency Carrier system, and grill some slow-smoke barbecue on us. But hurry, this special ends soon. And if you're dealing with plumbing or electrical problems, Choates is here for you too. Give us a try and take $60 off your repair. Leaky faucet, clogged drain, broken outlet, lights flickering? Call Choates and save $60 on your plumbing or electrical repair service. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com today. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Wrapping up this truck crash. It's been out here for a while on 40 eastbound near White Station as traffic starts to get heavy coming down 40 westbound right now in from Fayette County into Shelby County. Looks like some rain on the radar there to the south of Memphis. Could run right into that on 55 down through certain parts of DeSoto County, headed on down into Tate County. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them today. today at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Brett Mooresworthy and Brian Dacus. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8 o'clock the time, hour 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Tuesday, June 17th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you, broadcasting live and local from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 74 degrees, going to get up to about 89 today, although thunderstorms likely this morning, a chance of scattered thunderstorms this afternoon, about a 60% chance. And then tonight, some clouds, a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible with a low of 74 degrees. Hour 2 of the program brought to you by the great folks at James Gaddis Jewelers. I'll give you more of the details a little bit later on in the hour, but it is Tuesday. That means time for Humdinger's Trivia.
That is right. Time for somebody to win a $25 gift certificate to Humdingers, where they could go enjoy some great food. Of course, on Tuesdays, that means Taco Tuesday over at Humdingers with their chicken and fish tacos, just $2 each. That's each and every Tuesday that they do that all day long. But any day you go over there, you can enjoy some of the great food for their great grilled fish options, the great toppings and great sides, maybe one of their great appetizers like the Humdinger shrimp or the crab cakes. Maybe a po' boy, whatever it might be. They've got all kinds of great items on that menu. You'll find them over at Poplar and Massey. And again, on Tuesdays, it is always Taco Tuesday. And also, if you got an event you need catered, they can take care of that for you as well. HumdingersRestaurant.com, the website to check out the menu, get information about catering, order online. You can do it all right there at HumdingersRestaurant.com. If you are the first to answer the trivia question correctly, well, then you'll win that $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. You can answer via text at 901-360-8255, 901-360-8255. Text in those answers, and the first correct answer gets that $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. If you've won in the last 30 days, you are not eligible, and you only get one guess. Here is today's question. Jalen Williams went for 40 points last night in the NBA Finals, Game 5. Who was the last player to score 40 or more points in back-to-back NBA Finals games? Who was the last player to score 40 or more in back-to-back games in the NBA Finals? 360-8255, 360-8255. Text in those answers. First correct answer gets the $25 gift certificate to Humdingers.
Last year was a tremendous season that came up a little short for the Washington Commanders, making it to the NFC Championship game, and we're very pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Washington Commanders, our friend Dan Quinn, who joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, it's good to be on with you guys, man. Always cool to talk about the season, but also what's ahead, man. So cool to be on with you guys today.
Absolutely, we always appreciate when you're able to spend some time with us, and you have so in the past. So we always appreciate that. So the mini camp just wrapped up. First of all, your thoughts as you go into, I guess, a couple of weeks to readjust and get ready for the opening of camp.
Yeah. So as it goes in that space, it's an important time. For the players especially, as they get that, 30 or so days to go in between, there's a lot of work that can be done, so they can come back really to push their limits in the best shape they possibly can, and then you can really, really go for it. All spring, you're kind of building that base, you're working your skills hard, but that's where it really the connection can take place, man, with these guys being in fantastic shape, because all spring, playbook, scheme, skills, but then at training camp, it's all one big absolute, freight train of going for it.
I always remember when I was young hearing about NFL camps opening up and the players coming in out of shape. Like they used camp to get into shape for the season. That's not the case anymore. This is year long, and it's been going on for quite a while now, where players come in and they're pretty much in shape. And they better be in shape, right?
Yeah, you have to be, because the competitiveness of the camp, and certainly at a lot of the positions, that's a big deal. And like way back when there was 6 preseason games, if you can believe that, when early on, and so now we're at 3, and those are good ones. And we'll even do a couple of practices versus some other teams that we'll get some more evaluations in. So those help. You do a preseason game, and then 2 days prior you can throw a good practice against another team. Different looks, different things that you maybe wouldn't show in the preseason, so they help as well.
Obviously, going in, especially when you're coming in as the new head coach, you have your goals and things you want to achieve during a season. And you had Jaden Daniels coming in last year, a lot of hype, obviously, around a high draft pick at the quarterback position. But what he did and your team did last year, was that at least was a little bit of a surprise even to you, that he was that good and made your team that good that quickly?
You know what, we as you guys know, one of the real keys is in terms of leading and like when you're performing. And I thought he had such a good blend, or has such a good blend, of confidence and humility. And the confidence came from this is a guy that absolutely put the work in. So you don't know exactly the work ethic of somebody until you're around them. And then when you see it, firsthand, you're like, man, this guy is absolutely putting it in. And so knowing he was really ready to make that impact, and then having the humility as a teammate just to, keep going, keep, pushing the standards that he wanted to higher and higher. I think that's what really sets him apart. He's an excellent player, but he also has, like I said, that good blend of confidence and humility.
Dan Quinn, the head coach of the Washington Commanders, Super Bowl champion from his days as the defensive coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks, joining us here on Sports 56 Mornings. You and I are both Jersey guys. You went to school in Salisbury. I worked in Salisbury. So we know a lot about the old Redskins, now the Commanders, and we know the passion that Washington area has for that football team. To be able to experience that, to have this team now back to being as competitive as they are, there's got to be a lot of excitement around the area.
You know what's cool? You're right. And knowing that, for me growing up in New Jersey and seeing, the Giants, Eagles, Redskins, Cowboys battling for the NFC East seemingly just about every year, really had set, this division apart. And I think for the younger fans who maybe didn't see some of that, knowing that this had been really one of the crown jewels of the NFL. And so, what better way to kickstart it and go after it as hard as we can, because the fan base is absolutely fantastic. And we got a chance to see that in a few games last year, especially as the season was ending, where that home field advantage of being in D.C. and kind of what the team means to the DMV here, that meant a lot. And so to be a part of that and knowing that how important this team is to this fan base, we could feel that. And so that was a big deal, Greg.
For you, how different maybe are you, or if not, if anything, as a head coach now than what you were in the first go around in Atlanta?
I would say definitely different. I think all of us, from the experience you have, you want to grow and you want to get better and do things differently. And so when you have maybe that space in between, you might say, okay, these are the things that I thought, went well. These are the things I'd like to, maybe do the same. And then here's a whole bunch of things that I'd like to see it done differently. Mm-hmm. And so for me as a head coach, I really dug into that. But honestly, just the staff here, the connection between the players, that's what makes a team, man. And when you're around a good team, because it's excellent in the locker room before you ever get on the field. And that's what I sensed that came together for our team, is how hard they want to play for one another, their connection to each other. And when you have that, that's a separator. And if you can help them create that, that's a big deal. But it's 100% on the guys to make that happen, and they absolutely have here. So I think that's really cool.
From afar, it seems like this new ownership group is really committed to this team, and you guys have the year you had. You go out and you're not living off your laurels. You're looking to improve. You go out, you get a guy like Deebo Samuel who can be a game changer. When you went into the offseason, Coach, what were the areas that you wanted to address? And if you wouldn't mind talking about the acquisition of Deebo.
Sure. And Adam was really at the front instead of Adam Peters, the general manager. So each game you do an after action, so you have the 17 regular season games and 3 postseason games, and you start from there, and you kind of like, we use the word like musts, needs, and wants. Like what's a must? Who do we must sign back? Who do we need? And there you get into your wants. So you start with the free agents on your own team, and we were able to re-sign a bunch of them, fortunately for us. Then you can add to the club through free agency or through trades, and that goes into about mid-March. And then the last piece of that is adding, pieces into the draft at the end of the April. Then kind of the fun part of it all is putting the whole puzzle together. There's really a 1-year shelf life on each team, because there's changes and things, this person's leaving, this person's added, this person's in a different role as they are moving up. And so those are the things that the off season is really important for, and why training camp's so important. Those moving and shiftings of roles, and how we can feature players, because some are new and some are developing at a fast rate. That's what it's all about. And so it's been cool to see us go through that process through our first year, and just stayed consistent with it, man. Where are we at? What do we need to address? How do we develop some of the guys here? And we had about 10 rookies on the 53-man roster last year, and we're expecting a lot of them to make a big jump as well. And we love developing the players and the coaches, so that's where we're going to go after it. This is absolutely as hard as we can.
One of your draft picks played last year just down the road from us at Ole Miss, and Trey Amos. What does he bring to the team?
Yeah. Well, first off, outside, having the size and the length to play against some of the bigger receivers that we see in the NFL. So having that kind of size and ability to stay, connected to the big guys is huge for us. We love the ball skills, obviously, from a cornerback spot. When the ball is in the air and it gets contested, which a lot of them are, especially if you play a lot of man-to-man, that you want to really be able to go and fight for it. But you need that size and length to do that. So Trey's off to a good start, man. He really is. He caught on to the techniques that the guys are teaching really quickly. And so he's off to a really good start. All the rookies here went through just some spring practices and then one mini camp. So we're excited for them to get their underway with their first training camp. And like we were saying earlier, having that plan during that off time so I can come back, in the very best shape to absolutely go for it, as hard as we can. So Trey and a number of the other rookies are in that same space, man, to really push themselves to see, where they can take their game to.
Dan Quinn, head coach of the Washington Commanders, Super Bowl champion, joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. You alluded to it a little bit earlier when Eli asked about Jaden Daniels. You've been around quarterbacks. You've been around the game for a long time. What is it that makes him just so calm, cool, and collected? Watching that guy play as many times as I watched your team, it just seemed like he got more at ease as the season went along and just was in total control once the postseason came around. What was it about, or what is it about him?
Yeah, he really does have that trait to him. I can remember all the way back into our second game, we were playing at home here against the Giants. It was a tie game going into the final drive, and just a smile comes across his face, ready to go. It wasn't like, what do you think, or this nervous, but an absolute a calm demeanor, but a real competitor, really man, I can't wait for this moment, as opposed to being tight or nervous. And he played a lot of games in college, and I think that played a role in that, because he's been through a lot through ASU and LSU, and that kind of experience at that position really showed up. And then I think the real key to it is, man, this guy absolutely puts in the work. And you guys both know, or all you guys know, there's a real confidence that comes with that. When you put in the amount of work, I cannot wait for this game. I hope they show me that look. I'm ready for that, specific moment. So those are the things to me that set people apart, when they really put in the work. And then here comes the moment, you do not wait for it. You absolutely go after it. And Jaden's got a lot of that in him.
The Hail Mary, did you teach him that? Was that your play?
Yeah, I wish. I have been coaching for a really long time, and been on teams where they've thrown up and haven't gone down on your side, and same as on the opposition. But at the end, man, it's just a fighting chance to give your guys a chance to go after it. So you have to buy time, and that's one of the hardest parts of the play. because it takes a while for everybody to get down there if you're throwing it, 50 or 60 yards in the air to get down the field. So buying time is just, a part of it. Then going up to give your guys a chance for it. Man, it was absolutely wild. I think just, running around afterwards, I don't even remember it. I felt like Jim Valvano at like NC State, just like running aimlessly to nowhere. So, but it was definitely one of the coolest, wins I had been a part of that just came right down to the end.
Oh, it was spectacular. A few more minutes with Coach Dan Quinn. One thing I want to ask, and then I want to get to your commencement speech, which is just incredible at your alma mater. But the decision by ownership around the league not to ban the tush push, obviously being in that division with the Eagles, and what is your thoughts on that as you move forward into the 25 season, knowing that that's going to be around again?
Yeah, and so they've been excellent at it. Top of the list of doing it. There's other teams that try it, and some teams do a traditional sneak where you may get up quickly, and if it's there, you go. If it's not, you have another play that you can go to. But in their instance, they've been fantastic at it. So I spend more time thinking of how to go defend it and stop it, as opposed to whether it's up or not. So that's what we'll spend some time on. How can we get the right guys in the right spots? But for sure, they've been fantastic at it. So we'll dig in to get some stops, and that's where I spend most of my time thinking about it, especially if it's crucial fourth down, one down by the goal line. Those are the ones that you really want to go take your shot and make sure you can put your best stuff against it.
Spoken like a defensive guy, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Probably has kept you up at night trying to think of ways to stop it at this point.
You have no idea, right?
You've been into the division for a while now since they've been doing this thing. For you, the backwards hat. When did you start going with the backwards hat? And was there like a reason for it?
Yeah, I know. I get that asked a lot, and there's really not. I just prefer to wear my hat that way. So I guess, as a coach, sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. It's just when you're not a head coach, you don't really get doesn't get on camera or on as much as it's a big deal. But it's how I'm comfortable wearing. I guess maybe started way back in the day in Jersey. I would say, if you're working out or doing something, you had your hat on backwards, and I don't do it all the time, but. I do wear it like that a lot. So I thought, this is how I wear it. So I'm gonna continue on doing it.
Well, we did it in South Jersey. We wore our hats backwards as well. But here, since I grew up, Dan, I decided not to. No, it's always a cool look for you. All right, I thought this was also cool. And you are a graduate of Salisbury State, now Salisbury in Salisbury, Maryland. And that's how I know Coach Quinn from his playing days at Salisbury, and I was a sportscaster at the local ABC television affiliate. And you came back a short while ago for the commencement speech, an impassioned, it's you, energetic and just firing up the youngsters who graduated. But what was that like, the experience of going back to your alma mater, to giving the commencement speech, and then the message also that you gave the kids?
You know what? It was very cool. I hadn't been back on campus there in over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Just, being in the NFL or coaching, and you don't get the spaces to go do that. So to be back on campus, see some old friends that I'd known during my time there, like that was still really cool. And then they actually had the graduation ceremony out at the stadium, which in the old days had like typical in a conference center in town. And so it's nice to be outside and be with everybody. And I think I'm around this age group a lot, because of, all the players that I, get the opportunity to coach. And I think one of the main themes for guys that can really, make their mark, it's resilience. And so I wanted to share that. It's not always going to go their way. There's going to be some fights that they need. Every once in a while, you need to get your ass kicked to know how you're going to fight back and do it differently. And so that's the message that I wanted to pass along to them, that I wished them great success, but also that, they're going to fail sometimes, and they're going to have to get back up and figure it out, because that's, to me, what the best of the best do. It doesn't go all smoothly. There's going to be some, difficult and challenging moments, and, be ready for it and call on it, knowing that, all right, this is what we were talking about, and now it's time to go get down. So that's the message I wanted to send, and, it was fun, man. We had a blast doing it. My wife Stacy and I both went to Salisbury. Somehow they gave us honorary doctorates. They certainly didn't look at my transcripts. 5 years, 4 summer schools, 4 winter terms, and only a bachelor's degree. So they definitely didn't consider my academic prowess, but it was so much fun.
It was a damn good bachelor's degree that you got. It went viral. It's a great video, and I'm sure similar speeches are made in front of your team, whether it be the Commanders or your former teams. You're doing just an unbelievable job, Coach, and really appreciate it. I'm rooting for you. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy man to spend some time with us here in Memphis. Really appreciate it.
No, man, keep kicking ass down there, and really cool to be on with you guys. So, man, let's throw a great year.
Thank you, Coach. Take care. That's Coach Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders. Yeah, he played at little old Salisbury, Division III, and was a good player, not a great player, but he's become a terrific defensive mind and now has parlayed that into his second head coaching gig.
We do not have a winner yet in our Humdingers trivia. The question was, who was the last player to score 40 or more points in back-to-back NBA Finals games? And we've had a lot of the expected answers. I'll say it's more recent than that.
Okay. So a lot of MJ guesses.
We did have one person who came with an answer who's really, really close. Because there's a in one series, in the series that had happened most recently, somebody else did it earlier in that series.
But you don't get a second guess, right? Or do you?
You do not.
So other people would like to know those guesses from that person.
I'm just
maybe they'd get it right.
There was a series, again, where the correct answer comes from. Earlier in that series, somebody else did it.
Okay, something to think about. We'll see if we can get a correct answer by the time we come back from our timeout. Do want to tell you about James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. If you're going to be popping the question this summer, this fall, you're looking for that special engagement ring, and they have them for you at James Gaddis Jewelers. So much variety, and they have a price point to suit everyone's budget. So you may not think you can afford a certain amount. Well, I'm telling you, you can at James Gaddis Jewelers. They really have some beautiful diamonds. They went to Antwerp, Belgium a couple of months ago, brought back those diamonds. So new variety, the latest they have for you, from engagement rings to wedding rings to personally designed wedding sets. Also, if you're looking for a beautiful watch for someone in your family, for a birthday gift, maybe an anniversary present, a graduation present, whatever the case may be, bracelets and necklaces and earrings, gemstones of all types. Plus, people will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry because they're always adding to their collection. Every time you go into James Gaddis Jewelers, I can guarantee you there's something new you didn't see the last time. So for all your jewelry needs, they are full-service jewelers. So if you need a simple cleaning or if you need a resetting of your rock, whatever the case may be, they can handle that for you. James Gaddis Jewelers, open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4, closed on Sunday. They're your family's jeweler at 4800 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. You're listening to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from.
Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday.
Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
May I help you? I just wanted to request a late checkout, please. Of course. That's $30 per hour for up to 4 hours. Huh. Okay, but if you can offer a late checkout, then that probably means no one is staying in that room. So if it's empty, maybe I can just stay a few extra hours. Oh, aren't you adorable?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the Rendezvous I want to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for seats or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the Rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the Rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear. Please listen carefully for our menu has changed. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it now. Come see us at the Rendezvous. Since 1948, the Rendezvous.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
To Memphis as you come up sections of 55 up through DeSoto County. It's a couple of accidents still in their clearing stages like this one on 40 eastbound over here at White Station involving that truck. It's been over here for quite some time. Here comes all that traffic down I-40 westbound in right now from Fayette County into Shelby County. Dandelions, crabgrass, Lawn Solutions says give them a call. They'll take care of this for you today. Lawn Solutions, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:27 the time. Our thanks to Washington Commanders head coach Dan Quinn. We'll post that interview for you on the website, sportsmemphis.com. It'll be under featured audio.
We do have a correct answer now in our Humdinger's trivia. And I'm not sure if what the little hints I gave or whatever was able to get somebody onto the right track.
You can take credit.
But we do have a correct answer. Elijah, you're usually good at these. Do you know the answer to this one or have a guess?
I think I know which finals it comes from. It comes from the 2021 finals, doesn't it?
You are correct. You have the correct year.
Elijah's good at this stuff.
It's either Devin Booker or Chris Middleton. I know Chris Middleton had one 40-point game, but I don't know if he had two, so I'm going to guess Devin Booker.
It's Middleton, isn't
it? You are correct. It is Devin Booker. Earlier in the same series, Giannis went for over 40 in games 2 and 3 back-to-back. He also then had 50 in game 6, I believe it was. So he did games 2 and 3. Devin Booker did games 4 and 5.
Wow.
Of that series. So Booker is the correct answer. He is the most recent of those that did it. And maybe Jalen Williams will become the next one to do it if he can score 40 in game 6 on Thursday night. But Devin Booker, the correct answer. We'll be notifying our winner, let you know how you get your $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's.
I remember the Middleton, and I was thinking maybe he had a second 40 like you were contemplating. Obviously, he did not. I wonder in the situation or in the scenario with Booker in that series, the back-to-back 40-plus, how many shots he took, as opposed to how many shots Jalen Williams took last night, which I think was 25? It just seemed like it was an easy 40 last night for Jalen Williams. It was like a smooth 40. Like every time he put up a shot, we talked about him being bumped off the ball and still being able to make the shot, usually a fall-away bank shot.
Booker took 28 shots, 17 of 28 in one of them and 17 of 33 in the other.
Okay, so there you go. 8 more shots in one game, 3 more shots in the other. I was laughing so much last night when I saw this tweet. Pete Pranica, of course, the TV voice of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm still laughing about it. It was just a simple tweet. So the halftime show takes place, and Pete goes on his Twitter, that halftime show, ? Woof. It was like, what was going on there? Big Perk, Stephen A. Smith, they're basically fighting Bob Myers, not physically fighting, but verbally assaulting him. He's battling back about whether Halliburton should be on the floor. In the second half, play McConnell. This is, again, halftime. And really, when you think about it, those guys may have been right. But the way they kind of attacked, it was very awkward. It was just, it felt weird. When you have those look, we do it daily, you and me, on talk radio. We have these confrontations on certain subjects, so I understand that. But when you're watching the guys do it and it looks like they're ganging up on them, it looked very awkward and kind of strange. But in the end, what they were saying was not completely wrong. And Myers, of course, who's a former GM and a great GM at that, with the Warriors, he's going to side with the star, right? It doesn't matter if the star's not 100%, you got to ride with the horse that got you there. But those guys were looking at the situation going, he's not right. Play the other guy who went off in the third quarter and really pulled you back to within shouting distance, and then you got it eventually to within 2. So, who am I to criticize their coach? I mean, Carlisle is an NBA champion coach. He's a really, really good coach. But I wonder after the game, just to himself, if he went, maybe I should have played McConnell more because Halliburton didn't have it. Although Halliburton seemed to be moving a little bit better once he got back into that game. He had some assists. He had some rebounds. He just wasn't doing anything offensively.
Well, again, when Oklahoma City wants to
scoring-wise
take people out of a game, they're pretty good at doing it.
Good point.
That's the thing. Like, it's always going to be tough on Tyrese Halliburton because they're that good. I mean, they just keep bringing guys at you. And that's, again, if they go to McConnell in that fourth quarter, Oklahoma City probably would have approached defending him differently after what he did to them in the third quarter. And again, I don't think that anything was going to matter. I believe SGA and Jalen Williams were going to win that game no matter what it took in the fourth quarter for them. They were just they were two guys on a mission that were playing, who were both really, really good, and Indiana just did not have the answers for them. By the way, how about the Aaron Nesmith tip dunk?
Oh, wow.
That, like, Breen didn't even realize what just had happened.
Either did I.
It happened so quickly. Like, everybody, and Doris Burke was like, I think he dunked that. Like, it was just like, everybody was like,
he finished it,
did
is
he
what
just
she said, I think.
do that? Like, that was unreal. Now, granted, he used, like,
used
Chet Holmgren's shoulder to boost him up there, but he came out of nowhere on that thing.
It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. I was like Mike Breen. I had no idea, and Doris picked that up right away. But then you go back and you look at the replay, and he absolutely used his shoulder to springboard himself higher. So, in essence, that was a foul. I mean, you can't do that, but it was great. I'm glad they didn't take it off the board. That was incredible. There were some calls. By the way, man, officials miss a lot of out-of-bounds calls. Like, they seem obvious to me because I get it right in real time, and then it's confirmed on the replay, but I'm not there. I'm not there in the action. I don't know if I got the angle, if they got the angle right. but it seemed like it happened a lot. There's also, it is driving me crazy when guys are picking up their pivot foot. SGA had this one play, and I posted it on Twitter. He comes in, and he kind of loses his footing, and he moves the one foot, takes the next step, and then does a little bunny hop with the pivot foot, and they don't call it. They never call it. That drives me crazy as well. But back to the point about they would have won no matter what, I'm with you 100%. Despite the exploits of Pascal Siakam, who has been so good in this series. But if they are going to take Halliburton out of the game, and they did, it was almost like what happens in a pack with a wounded animal, like a pack of wild wildebeests, and then the lion goes after the one. They know the guy's hobbling in the back, and they go after him. Well, Chet Holmgren's coming out there guarding. Halliburton really could not go anywhere despite the speed. He's much faster because the wheel wasn't working that well. So that's when other guys have to step up. And Miles Turner has to be more aggressive. 5 shots, I'm sorry. 2 of them were three-pointers. So inside the arc, 3 shots. And probably, I don't even know if all 3 of them were inside the paint. But Miles Turner, for as big as he is, and I know they got Holmgren and I know they have Hartenstein, that's very tough. But he's got to be more aggressive. He's got to play with that intensity that Siakam plays, that Neesmith plays, that Nembhard plays. He's not giving them enough, in my opinion. So we'll see. I think the answer, though, is Johnny Furphy. Johnny Furphy was a +2.
Furphy's getting minutes.
He had the N1 and missed the free throw in the end. All right. So Des Bane yesterday makes his first appearance at the Magic facilities and was all smiles, and they were all smiles. And then you start to read the comments, and man, the GM, who's the GM of Magic? Is it Weltman? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I mean, he could not have been more giddy about acquiring him. He said there are a couple of guys that we were just wondering like if they would become available. And one of them was Des Bane. And if he became available, we were jumping on it. And they certainly did. And obviously the haul is what's impressive from what the return was for the Grizzlies. But they think now they can take that major step up with Paolo Banchero, with the Wagners and other players. They have Jalen Suggs. They not renounced, but turned down the team option for Gary Harris. Gary Harris, it feels like he's been in the league for 30 years. But so he is now available, probably for a veteran's minimum for a team that maybe is contending and wants to get that type of player. But you know, the pickup of Desmond Bane was huge for Orlando. How much of a difference will it make? Well, you're looking at a Boston Celtics team that's going to probably do something, and they're going to more than likely lose Jason Tatum for the whole year. Who knows? Maybe he'll be back for the postseason. You have the Sixers, who were in disarray last year, but what can they get done? And then you have the Knicks, who still need a coach. And it could be Taylor Jenkins when it's all said and done. So, you know, the Magic, look, you're going to have to give up a lot to get something good. You're going to have to. Although, obviously, the Lakers only having to give up, one first-rounder in Anthony Davis? But that's a whole different story. Now, I would imagine teams are going to overpay for players they want, whether it's Kevin Durant. And there are teams that are not on Kevin Durant's list that are still interested in renting him for a year and seeing what could happen maybe with contract talks, if maybe they could change the mind of KD. That's Minnesota. Minnesota falls into that category. I'm just hoping KD will go to the East, but I don't think it's going to happen. Miami seems to be the one hope. I know Toronto was a hot team for a while there. They talked about Toronto, but it seems like San Antonio, Houston, maybe Minnie going off the board, but they've offered up, according to stories out there, Rudy Gobert and a package with Gobert, DiVincenzo and all that, and I don't think Phoenix is interested. in that. Or at least maybe they need more than that. But I don't know. Katie's going to be traded, and he's going to be traded sometime before the draft, I would imagine. So we only have 1 week from tomorrow before round 1 of the draft. So things are going to heat up.
They would certainly like to do that. There's no doubt to get that deal done. And I don't know if they'll just kind of settle for whatever the best package available is at that time, or how they will approach it if there's not something that really suits what they want. But for Orlando, I mean, obviously Desmond fits exactly what they needed. They were a horrendous 3-point shooting team. And when you've got guys like Paulo Banchero and Wagner, so like, you need guys to space the floor and who can play off of those guys. And Bain suits that perfectly for them as a guy who could come in and is probably going to knock down 40% of his threes, just what he does. So he's a great fit for them. And I mean, the Indiana has shown the Eastern Conference teams, like, it's here. Like, you just put it together. It's here for the taking. And everybody looking at Boston without Tatum next year is going to be like, why can't we be next year's Indiana? We just put it together. We stay healthy, make a run, whatever. Like, the East is wide open, and Indiana has shown all those teams that. And Orlando, with what they've got, felt like they were a shooter away, and this puts them right there, hoping if they can stay healthy and everything else to make that similar type run. And now that Banchero's getting a little older and a few things here, like getting that experience, like, okay, now we're ready to kind of go all in and feel like we can make that jump.
Yeah, I'm talking about, obviously, the move by Orlando getting Des Bain, then brought up Boston, brought up Philadelphia, brought up the New York Knicks. Of course, Indiana. I neglected to mention Indiana, which should be pretty good for a long time. And then the other one, I think, that could be an interesting team is Milwaukee. Are they going to stay in the mix by keeping Giannis? And if they are, what are they going to surround him with? Remember, Lillard's banged up and all that. Or are they going to trade him and then go into a rebuild and you take them out of the mix? So, I mean, there's a lot of teams in the East that just are not factors. Sorry, the Hawks are seemingly every year a playoff team. They're not a factor. The Raptors, the Bulls, there's a bunch of teams that Washington that's really bad. But Milwaukee, depending on what they do, what Giannis wants, what they want, that'll be an interesting team. I'm not saying it's a team that wins the East, but if Giannis stays and all of a sudden they become buyers as opposed to sellers, that might get interesting.
Well,
but
they can't.
They're really capped.
I mean, that's like they're with Lillard and Giannis's salaries on the books. It's very hard for them to do anything.
Did they make a mistake in acquiring Lillard?
Well, not look like he did. I mean, he's going to, in all likelihood, miss next year. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's.
I mean, hindsight's 20/20. I'm not. I mean, the injury, but even before he got hurt, right? They weren't this great team that you expected them to be. They were better with Middleton and all those guys when they won it all. They were a more cohesive unit.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't worked, but it wasn't. They weren't going to win it anymore. Middleton was hurt and everything else too. I mean, they took a shot. It didn't work. Doesn't look like it will work. But I have no problem with them taking that shot of acquiring Damian Lillard.
All right, when we come back, some interesting stories that have surfaced, including an Adam Schefter story that is out there that has nothing to do with the NFL. Also, some news involving the Grizzlies as far as the draft is concerned, if they keep that 16th pick, where they may go. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Service Director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 91271-5199.
The very last thing anyone wants is to burden their family after passing. That's why having a trust or a will is essential. It ensures your loved ones, your spouse, children, or anyone you care about clearly understand your wishes and don't have to deal with confusion, drama, or legal hassles while grieving. Without a will, your assets could be distributed in ways you never intended. People you care about could be left out completely. Also, probate can be a long, complicated, expensive process. And it's avoidable if you have a simple trust in place. A trust or a will sets a clear plan for how you want your estate handled. They're simple, affordable, give you peace of mind. I have a simple, revocable trust, and knowing my family won't have to go through probate brings real comfort. Trustandwill.com. They make it easy. They're the leaders in creating personalized trusts and wills to protect your legacy and loved ones. Do the right thing. Protect your family. Visit trustandwill.com today for total peace of mind.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Adam Schefter, I'm used to football news. Now, I don't think this is breaking. He broke the story because I don't see breaking, but Adam Schefter's Twitter handle, PGA Tour officially announcing today that Commissioner Jay Monahan will be stepping down at the end of his contract in 2026 as new CEO Brian Rolap takes over day-to-day responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, it's been known. We talked about Rolap last week. I mean, it's been known for a while.
Yeah, but did you know he was definitely stepping down after 2026?
That came out after after the news came out that Rolap was the guy coming in. That they said it was going to basically phase out Monahan. They didn't know for sure exactly what he was going to officially be done, but it was
Yeah, so I saw that, but I didn't know when his contract ended, what year we were talking about. So at the end of next season, it'll be a lame duck year for Jay Monahan, friend of the show. By the way, we had Dan Quinn on earlier in the hour, the head coach of the Washington Commanders, and I told you that he had done the commencement speech at his alma mater at Salisbury University in Maryland. And this is just a little clip of how he wrapped it up. And I just tell you the energy he brings, and this is quintessential Dan Quinn. Here we go.
4 words I wish I was told when I was in your chair, and now I live by. So, ladies and gentlemen of Salisbury University's class of 2025, let it fucking rip.
We'll just say he said freaking. Let it freaking rip. That is Dan Quinn. All right. Jason Munn's tweeting out that he's told that the AAC has engaged former Big East Commissioner Mike Tranghese to advise the league on its basketball strategy and growth. Interesting. Again, Memphis, we've talked about, the hypothetical of could you go all sports except football to the Big East and then football to the Pac. And now we're talking about the former Big East commissioner who will advise Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the American Conference, friend of the show, about where they can go as far as basketball is concerned. Scheduling, TV exposure, things of that nature. Of course, the American had a one-bid league this past season with Memphis winning both the regular season and the conference tournament title.
I appreciate all the effort that they are making and trying to do things as far as basketball is concerned within the conference. But I kind of feel bad letting them know the reason you're not getting more tournament teams is because your programs suck. And you could schedule any way you want. It's not making the programs better.
Do you have to be so blunt?
I mean, who do you think needs this? They could schedule better teams. You know what they're going to do? Lose all those games. So what's it matter? Like,
yeah, here's
who's
the
stepping up to be this program that's good, other than Memphis, that's going to be some perennial tournament team because they now suddenly schedule better teams. No, that's just scheduling more losses.
Here's the problem. You're limited on the amount of money now for rev sharing and for NIL, right? Where are you going to put that money? The limited amount of money you have, where are you going to put it? You're going to put it into the football program more than the basketball program. So now you even have less to put into the basketball program. Luckily for Memphis, that they're doing, again, pretty well, not comparable to most of the power schools, but if not all of them financially, but they are doing pretty well as far as having money for rev sharing and for NIL. Needs to be better. They feel good about it. So they can afford to put money into that football program and into that basketball program and to give whatever they need to for the rest of the sports, the Olympic sports, if you will. But these other schools, and I don't know all their situations, maybe Tulane's better off financially than Rice is. I don't know. But you're going to put what you have, the bulk of it, into football. And so if you're already limited to start, that's a lot less money you have to offer up players. So you are going to get pretty much mediocre players.
Well,
and when you get a player that ends up being really good, like he comes out of nowhere or she comes out of nowhere for women's basketball, they're gone the next year. They're going somewhere else.
The thing is, I mean, their hope, I guess, would be Wichita State. I don't know what Wichita State has financially at all. I assume it's probably pretty little. But maybe whatever the brothers are over there will give them a bunch of revenue share money, and they could obviously put it all towards basketball because they don't have football.
Right.
So, I mean, that would be your hope. And obviously there is at least some history of success at Wichita State. So that, to me, is your hope, that Wichita State can become good.
Yes.
But again, I wouldn't count on that happening because I'm going to guess they probably don't have a whole bunch of money to spend even on just the basketball program. But every other program, every school that has football is going to put it to football because they're all trying to get out of the conference. And they realize to get out of the conference, it comes down to football. So it would be just dumb on their part to put the money towards basketball because that's not their ticket out of the conference. Football's your ticket out of the conference.
Well, your point is well taken about Wichita State. When they severed ties with Greg Marshall, they fell apart. They have not been the same basketball program. Now, is there a financial commitment? Well, I think you're right. Without football, they need to make a financial commitment. I would be on top of that, and I'm sure Pernetti is, with Wichita State. Now, that's only a second team because all the other teams play football. Now, Army and Navy don't. I mean, they don't play basketball, so they don't have to worry about that. Plus, they're different. They don't have to worry about NIL, and they're good additions to the league because they always put a good product on the field, but nobody really enjoys that style triple option for the most part. So they're not real attracted when they play each other, which doesn't count as a league game, which is stupid. That is attractive. Everything else is not. But they don't play basketball. They don't have to worry about that. Wichita State doesn't play football. There's no reason why they can't dump most of it into that men's basketball program and get players and become competitive. It doesn't make any sense. But sometimes a coach makes a difference too, and Marshall really was a difference maker when he was there at Wichita State. So I don't know. I don't think they can get that much better. And you're right. All the teams are scurrying to try to find a way out. But how many in the future will be able to get out? There's going to be a very limited amount, if
exactly. That's
any.
the thing.
And
so
hopefully
that's why
Memphis
you have
is
to
one
try
of
and
them.
put yourself at the top of it. And so to do that, you're going to put your money into football and try and make your football program attractive, because that's in the end is what's going to get you out. South Florida's building the on-campus stadium, doing all these things. Like looks like they're making a commitment to their football program. That's where it's at. So it would be malpractice, quite frankly, at these other schools to be putting too big of a chunk towards basketball, towards bad basketball programs. I mean, that's the thing. Like it's not like you've got these great basketball programs who are just sitting and they go, man, we just put a little bit more money towards basketball. Man, this is some like East Carolina, like there's not going to be Rice, like these UTSA, like your basketball program's just not any good.
No, you have to be lucky where one alum or several alum make it big and want to give back to the university, to the athletic department. I mean, normally, if it's not somebody who makes it big in the sports realm, they'll give back to the university in other ways. But if they got lucky, and there are players that have made it from those universities, but they want to give back a lot of money. Somebody makes it rich, becomes a billionaire, and then all of a sudden they dump a bunch of money into the university, into the athletic department. That can change things. Money talks, somebody once said. And in this day and age, basketball, you have money, you can get a couple of players, it could turn the fortunes like that. Football, different story. Basketball, though, but that's like getting lucky. I mean, so I'm sure Mike Tranghese isn't going to be like, all right, here's the strategy. Let's get lucky. I mean, I don't know what he's going to come up with.
That's better than anything else they can come up with. That's their only chance. And they're not going to get lucky. Because the thing is, every program in America now has 3 more scholarships to hand out. And they're all way above them as far as where players want to go.
Yeah. Sad but true. Hey, everybody, it's summer. Come get your new and affordable 26 All-Star Chevy Equinox at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. Financing down to 6.6% for 72 months. New 25 Silverados with $6,500 cash back. $6,500 cash back. That's great. Financing down to 2.9% for 36 months. You want to go big? Get a new Silverado 2500 HD with financing as low as 3.9% for 60 months. And not one payment for 90 days because your good credit deserves it. If you work in law enforcement, first responder, healthcare field, military, teacher, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. They also have all the certified and pre-owned you could want, like a beautiful Corvette Stingray and more Tahoes and Silverados than you'll find in one place anywhere. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. Get the most money back for it today. Vacation, road trips, and all your summer fun begin in Olive Branch with our friends at All-Star Chevrolet. So together, let's drive. You can also see all the great rides online. Check them out at allstarautogroup.com. When we come back, we open up Hour 3 talking some golf. Sean McFetrich is in for Mickey Barker. We'll talk about the Open that was won by J.J. Spawn and all things happening locally as well. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work in them by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier is the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings. Because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up. Awesome.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. We can't wait to serve you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. This earlier wreck has had traffic slow over here on 40 eastbound at White Station. It's been crawling between Covington Pike and White Station. We're hoping it's going to start to move a little bit better here in the next few minutes over here on 40 eastbound right at White Station. It continues to build down I-40 west coming past Germantown Parkway. All that traffic coming in from Fayette County. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Willotion, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:03 the time. Final hour for us today here on this Tuesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you. We're live and local from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Weather-wise, and I feel a little awkward here, we're about to talk golf, but to bring up again the four-letter word of rain. But it's in the forecast. It's not going to be an all-day thing. Not sure exactly what Mother Nature has in store for us. But right now, 74 degrees, going to get up to 89. There are some rain showers and maybe even some thunderstorms in the forecast. Tonight will start to dissipate. Looks like we're going to have a beautiful day tomorrow. Mostly sunshine, a little bit of clouds, but it's going to get hot. It's going to be into the upper 90s. But it is summer officially on Friday. We know here in Memphis, summer began probably 6 weeks ago. And it is time to talk golf. This week, a pinch hitter for Mickey Barker. So once in a while, they allow Mickey Barker to get a vacation. So joining us now, Sean McFetrich. He is the general manager and golf pro at Galloway. You see him over at Galloway Links. Sean, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I guess that means I'm a friend, Mickey and friend.
You're your friend.
Yeah.
You qualify as
There you
friend.
go. Perfect.
I hope so. I hope you're a friend. But yeah, Mickey off this week, and perfect timing to talk about the U.S. Open, what a challenge that was. We'll get to that in a second, but let's start off, first of all, about, look, I mentioned it, the four-letter word. You have to have it, and then too much of it is horrible because you have rain days where people aren't coming out and playing as much golf as you want them to play. So it's got to be that happy medium. And right now, would you say, Sean, you've had enough rain? You still need more rain? Where do we stand as far as that's concerned?
So we got a little lucky. We airified greens last Monday, a week ago yesterday. So the rain timing, that helped us a little bit, getting the greens to grow back in. But my superintendent sent me a text last night. Bo Reynolds said, "Hey, it looks like more rain," and I said, "I did not order that." We've had enough. We had a couple weekends a month and a half ago that were complete washouts. Memorial Day weekend was pretty much a washout. We've had enough. Yeah, we don't need any more now. Audubon just airified their greens yesterday, so if they get a little bit, that'll be beneficial for them. But yeah, I think we're like 10 inches ahead of where we should be. And unfortunately, Galloway has some older bunkers. Some of them hold some water, so every time it rains hard, I know that we're in for pumping some bunkers the next day. So yeah, I've had enough for a while.
Well, that's the thing too, and it seems like it's been a lot of the weekend rain, which is even worse for you guys.
Yeah, very much so. We've had a couple of almost complete washouts. So yeah, obviously the weather, you can't do anything about it. So you just have to have a good attitude, positive attitude, and do what you can. My maintenance guys are real pros at what they do. They don't complain about having to get on the waders and get into the bunkers and stuff. So you just do the best you can. Unfortunately, you're cart path only more than you want to be. But do the best you can, blow off the greens, mow them when you can, and go forward.
Mickey had the numbers, I don't know if it was last week, about the rounds, and even though you've had these washout days, I mean, the rounds seem like they're pretty good. You tell me, are you where you need to be? Are you a little behind? You a little ahead? Where are you at?
So our numbers this year will be a little interesting because it will be with Audubon back open for the first time in 2 to 3 years. We're down a little bit, so it looks like our fiscal year ends soon, and it looks like for our fiscal year, which is July 1st through June 30th, we'll be about 47 or 48,000 rounds. The last couple of years with Audubon closed, we've been at like 54, 55.
Whoa!
So we're okay. Obviously, revenue is good. You always want to have revenue. But in order for the course to repair itself a little bit, that 46, 47 mark is pretty good. With weather, I think we'd probably be, if you had a couple of big weekends, we might be up the top of the 40s. But yeah, we're busy as ever when the weather cooperates. Audubon has, I think, cut into them a little bit, but it is really interesting, and I've had this conversation with Mickey, when you go from Galloway to Audubon and the different demographics that you see. Obviously, Galloway, with our setup, we do a lot of senior rounds. It's really interesting going to Audubon and seeing the younger guys, a lot of teenagers, college kids, 20s. And it's really cool that we have two places so close to each other that are so different, that you can have different experiences at both places.
Good point.
So yeah, I think overall, both at Galloway and our Memphis Public Links courses, I think we're a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I assume it's a higher number at Galloway because it's a shorter course. But what percentage at Galloway, because it's shorter, walk versus ride?
It's funny. So I just ran some numbers this morning, and I was looking at that. It's about 75%. So I thought it would be a little bit lower. I thought there'd be a little bit more walkers than that. We get a significant amount of walkers. It is very walkable. I try to do it myself if I have time. But it's about 75% will ride.
Right. Okay,
25% will walk.
that's higher than I would have thought too. I would have thought like maybe like a 60-40.
Yeah,
I feel like I
yeah.
always see a lot of walkers
Yep,
out there.
Yep, I would agree. Until I saw the numbers, I would have agreed with you.
What is the biggest cost to run a golf course? What are we talking about here? Just the turf, the repairs, the
So the grounds budget, payroll employees is always going to be the biggest one. But yeah, the chemical expenses, the maintenance practices. Luckily, being a city facility and with Mickey as the administrator of golf for the city, we don't have to beg for a lot of stuff. I mean, there are certain things that we have to, mind our P's and Q's and make sure that we're watching the budget. But if we really need something in order to take care of things, we usually have access to that.
When you talk about rounds this time of year, when we've got the longest days of the year, like what's the maximum number of rounds you could do in a day?
Yeah, so in the past, if we've had a really good weather, busy day, like, this time of the year, close to June 21st, we'll get into the 320s or so. Now, it's got to be busy. So our busy days currently, we're at like 250, 260, something like that. You look at, Torrey Pines in San Diego, which is another municipal facility, they run our same software that we have at Galloway and all the city courses. So we've talked to the people with 4Up, that software company, about the rounds they do. So we do 40, the busy, we've been 53, 54, 55,000 rounds. Torrey Pines does like 77,000 rounds.
Wow. The weather's always beautiful.
That's true. Yeah, they don't ever have to worry about weather.
But I try to, from a standpoint of even a summertime day for us at Galloway, I try to comprehend how many rounds that would have to be above what we already do, and it just blows my mind.
For those who don't know you, Sean, give us a little bit about your background. How'd you get started in this profession, and you're PGA pro as well. A little bit about your background.
Sure. So I grew up in Western New York, upstate Western New York, kind of the Rochester, New York area. Started playing golf at a public course, much like kind of Fair Oaks or Timber Trust, a privately owned public course. And from the time I was 14, just started as a cart boy, working for free golf, so I could play. Mom would drop me off in the morning and pick me up at night. And I just got to a point, I tried to study journalism in college, and I realized that I wasn't going to a golf course for work. And I just figured, you know what? Hey, if I can drive to a golf course every day to kind of punch the clock, that's got to be pretty cool. And when you're young, when you're in high school, college, you always think you can play, out with the guys at the U.S. Open. And I quickly realized that I'd get my head caved in. So then it was, hey, I can do this. Teaching tournament operations, just getting to have relationships with all the golfers. That was really the Sharman family that owned the golf course where I grew up in New York. They made everybody feel welcome and that you were special and they wanted you there. And so to combine passions, the passions of relationships with people and golf and building that game, and I didn't think there would be anything cooler. I tried I was in the private club sector for a while. I was lucky enough to be an assistant at Oak Hill in Rochester when Sean McKeel won the PGA.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Yeah. It just kind of, that came full circle when I moved to Memphis back in 2011. So I was in private clubs for a while, and then moved to Memphis and was really lucky when Galloway came open, and I was able to kind of go back to my public golf roots. Mm-hmm. I love it.
So what year was that when you moved here?
I moved here in 2011.
2011.
Yep.
What's your favorite course you've ever played?
Well, it's hard to go wrong with Oak Hill in Rochester. There are a couple of great spots. There's a place on Cape Cod in Massachusetts where I worked for a while called Eastward Ho that's great. There's a place in Florida that Nick Price developed called MacArthur, which is phenomenal. But I'd have to stick with Oak Hill. It's a really special place.
Have you ever had the fortune or maybe the unfortune of playing Oakmont like Mickey has?
I have not. I haven't been to Oakmont. it's I've talked to Mickey a little bit about his treks there. It is obviously, it's kind of an anchor. I think they called it an anchor course for the USGA now. There are so many great golf courses in the Northeast. There's great golf courses everywhere, but my preference tends to be kind of for the old school golf courses, like Chickasaw and Memphis Country Club here would be reminiscent of those golf courses. But I haven't tried to tame the greens at Oakmont.
So watching the U.S. Open, do you like seeing that at least 1 week of the year where it's,
carnage? Is that what you're saying?
It's brutal on these guys.
Carnage is a great word. I think I'm somewhere in between. I understand the tough setup, and I'm all for trying to figure out the best golfer that week, trying to see who's got it that week. I think some of the guys made a good point that, you took away some of the shot shaping ability and especially like short game ability of people when the rough is so thick around the greens that you can't display what makes you really good. I thought it would have been kind of neat to have graduated rough. So, the first cut, you saw some of those guys get really lucky on really wayward shots where they'd be in where the spectators had been and have a better shot than if you're 5 feet off the fairway.
Right.
So I would have been a little bit more interested to see a little more fairness, if for lack of a better term. But hey, JJ got in at 1 under par, with that long birdie putt on 18.
Well, speaking of fairness and all that, you're not a rules official, but you know the rules. Sam Burns' complaint about the ball basically, and I forgot what hole it was, but being in some sort of standing water, I guess, was the argument. Yeah. Explain that to people because, I'm sure there's a lot of people that were watching and going, why aren't they allowed now to lift clean in place? It's a mud ball, but they started and they have to finish that way, right?
Yeah, so you can't. This is a conversation that Austin Chin, the guy that runs our events for the city, we have this conversation all the time with some of our events. If you think it's going to rain, you have to start the round with ball in hand or lift clean in place.
Mm-hmm.
You can't start it after the storm has been there. So that's, the USGA is going to do anything they can, especially with, the 200, 300 people they've got on their crew there to try to make it so that they don't have to play ball in hand. That situation with Sam Burns was a little, I was talking to a gentleman, we had a golfer this morning from Shreveport, strangely enough, and so we started talking about Sam Burns, and it was kind of odd that they didn't let him get that drop, because they were taking drops. Once the restart happened, you saw drops all over the place.
What is I guess now they call it temporary water. It's no longer casual water. Okay. It's now temporary water. What defines temporary water? Like because I always thought it was like if you stand there and there's water pooling around your feet, basically that's casual water.
Yeah, so if your ball is if there's water visible around your golf ball, and then also if you take your stance and you see the water come up out of the fairway, you should be entitled to that. I saw a gentleman on Twitter that had I don't know his name. He had inside the ropes access that went back not long after play had stopped after JJ Spawn had won, and he stepped there, and you could see the water.
Yeah, and did the other side of the fairway, too, because he was talking about, that's Kyle Porter, and I don't remember who he writes for.
That's right.
But, he did that side of the fairway, and then he went to the other side of that same fairway, and there's no water because it leads that way. Yeah. And that's like when you do look at that, then you go, gosh, that seems like that is water.
So you believe he should have gotten a drop?
Yeah, as Eli was just saying here, that he was in the area of the fairway that is its lowest spot. So if the water's going anywhere on that hole, it's going to be where his ball was. I think, being that they were giving relief to other guys in the same situation, it seemed kind of strange that he wasn't granted that.
Sean, what's the rule for Adam Scott had a ball just off the green, and he had the sprinkler head. And is it stance, or is it like if your ball would actually have to go over the sprinkler head? Can you explain that one?
Yeah, so there's actually the USGA has a local rule that you can have at any course, where if your ball is within 2 club lengths of the sprinkler head, and the sprinkler head is within 2 club lengths of the green, that you can get relief from that situation.
Oh.
So in that case, it would have been either his stance or his or the swing or the line of the putt. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So J.J. Spawn, after it's all said and done, as you said, the only one in red figures, who starts out 6 bogeys in 7 holes. Most people, and I'm talking to you, Terrell Hatton, would have went ballistic because they did. And he kept his composure, and he ends up winning this thing. A pretty amazing feat by him.
He's played great golf the last couple of years. Obviously you don't get into the playoff at the Players with Rory without being a good golfer, a great golfer. And the fact. So I was watching with some friends, and I told you a little bit earlier I was kind of rooting for Adam Scott, being an older guy.
Mm-hmm.
But those shots, the composure, the way he held it together after the breakout in number 2, hitting the flagstick and run, that was just a gut punch, and you couldn't even tell. It didn't even look like he was breathing heavy when they showed him in the fairway for there. Yeah, and then so to just kind of stay level and get to 17 and hit that drive. He, even though I was rooting for somebody else, he went out and won the tournament. It wasn't handed to him, and the composure he showed and the ability he showed was just amazing. Yeah.
With that, but knowing obviously the game, very mental and everything else. Without the weather delay, do you think he puts it back together?
That's a great question.
Because you're going like that, like it can get away from you. I don't care how composed you are mentally. You're like, what's going on? Why can't I hit? Why do I keep making bogeys? Without that delay, could he have reset? Because he even said, it was a hard reset, basically.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't really thought much about that. Him and his team obviously had a plan in place. You see it in baseball games and any other sport that has any kind of delay like that. So yeah, he really used that to his advantage.
Because he even said, I think it was a swing coach told him, you're just trying too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Just relax. You could certainly understand that a guy who's never had anything like this in a major with a chance to win it, you're just tight because you're trying too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously they care. They always say if you're not nervous, you don't care. So yeah, whatever he did at that break proved really beneficial. Yeah, and he had just started with some new guys in his short game.
Oh, Josh Gregory, former Christian Brothers High School golfer and coach. Where did he play? He played at SMU, I think.
That sounds right.
Is that right, Josh Gregory? That's amazing. The local connection there. Yeah. I heard that. I was like, what? That was fantastic. All right, Sean, plug away, and I don't mean plugging the ball at Oakmont. What's coming up the next few months at Galloway, and how can people make tee times?
Yeah, so Galloway, we're getting ready for our busy tournament season, both at Galloway and the city. So Overton Park has the OPJO. The Overton Park Junior comes up a couple weeks in July.
Mm-hmm.
Galloway has the first round of the Memphis Amateur Championship. That's July 25th, I believe. And we actually, we airified greens last Monday. We don't have a lot of events up until the MAC because a lot of our tournaments don't want to be there with airified greens. I got to be honest with you. So I was just out on our putting green before I came in. They're like 90% healed. So it's a great time to come out and play Galloway. We don't have a lot of events or outside stuff going on.
Nice.
So obviously MemphisPublicLinks.com. You can book online for any of our city courses. But then also you can always give us a call, 901-636-7805.
And quick answer, how long does it normally take to airify the greens where they're ready to go?
To get back? Yeah, I would say normally 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. I think by the end of this week, if with the weather we've got right now, we're going to be back to normal.
Yeah, I don't know that you could have timed it any better because you finally the heat started hitting right when you did it, and then you got rain as well.
Yep. Yeah, heat is very important.
And rain somewhat, but not too much of it. He's Sean McFetridge. He's the Galloway Golf Course general manager and a PGA pro. Sean, thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon over at Galloway, I'm sure. Jenkins Floors and More, third-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings, located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. Really a hop, skip, and a jump from anywhere in the metropolitan Memphis area. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. They specialize in flooring and carpeting. It's that simple. They also have the plantation shutters and blinds, the backsplashes, ceramic and porcelain tiles, but hardwoods by Portercraft, carpeting from Southern Luxury Carpet. They will come to you. They promise to get the job done in 2 weeks. That is a quick turnaround. Now, if you just want to buy the material, it makes sense to buy it from Jenkins. Top of the line. They sell it wholesale, skip the middleman, and save you lots of money in the process. Then you can go ahead, if you're a contractor, lay it down yourself. But if you can't do it, which would be my situation, you call the experts at Jenkins. They will come to you. They'll give you a free estimate, and they'll get the job done, as I said, in a 2-week turnaround. So give them a call at 662-469-9350 or stop by 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, Mississippi. Open Monday through Saturday. Great family, great service. That's Jenkins Floors and more. We will continue right here after the break on Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli right after this timeout on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
That's the whole point. It's a secret.
Why does Central Barbecue feel like they have to keep the ingredients of their dry rub a secret?
Because it's just that good. If people could find out the ingredients in Central Barbecue's dry rub, they could reverse engineer it and make their own Central Barbecue dry rub.
Reverse engineer? These aren't state secrets.
They may as well be. This is serious business. Central Barbecue already tells everybody that they slow smoke their meat for a full 24 hours over hickory and pecan, and that there's never any sauce in the pit. They're giving away too much information as it is.
They're not giving away secrets. It's advertising. They're boasting about those things.
You are so naive.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work in them by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of area jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Area just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Area boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's been slow over here as they clean up this truck crash on 40 eastbound at White Station. At one point, it was backed up all the way back past Covington Pike. Again, it's been slow over here as they clean up this truck crash from early this morning on 40 East at White Station. Still some volume on 385 Biltmore Parkway coming inbound, trying to get up on that ramp to 240. Weimer's Jewelry wants you to know they are your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Go by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This hour brought to you by James Floors and Greg Gaston.
So there'll be some meetings taking place today and tomorrow. I assume it's all the power conferences, but I know the Big Ten and the SEC will be talking. And recent guests of our show, our friends John Tauti and Brandon Marcello, put together this story at CBS Sports. It says, Big Ten SEC stalemate headlines the college football playoff meetings with strength of schedule metrics in focus. The two most powerful conferences in the country may now be on opposing sides as the deadline nears. The meetings, which begin today, run through tomorrow afternoon, are expected to center on the strength of schedule component of the selection process that has become a hot topic in the aftermath of conference meetings in May. The SEC, in particular, has been outspoken about the need to revamp a process it believes did not properly account for its conference prowess last season when it left out Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina from the 12-team field. It even this is, again, very interesting here because I would argue, even though the SEC is as strong as it is, and my argument then was that those teams didn't deserve to be in. And so I wonder how far this will go and if they'll come together, those two power conferences, or there'll be a rift.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where this will all end up, certainly. The Big Ten... The Big Ten will, if the SEC will go to 9 games, I think that will certainly make the Big Ten happy.
Oh, there's no question about it, but I don't know if they will. I don't know what kind of guarantee you can have. I said, just reading into the story, the SEC appears open to continuing with a selection committee, but one that tweaks the currently used metrics and weighs the strength of schedule more heavily than it has in the past. Such a development won't require a move to an AQ-heavy format. The key for SEC leaders is that they want to be rewarded for how difficult they believe it is to win in the conference. Yeah, again, they want to be handed stuff because they play in a tough conference. I can understand, but I can also understand other conferences not wanting that.
And certainly I could understand it. If we're going to go to 9 conference games, and so that's adding a loss onto half of our conference teams, we want to make sure that you're understanding that when you're looking at overall records, that it's a little harder to win here than it is in some of these other conferences. So just making sure. Again, I think the committee already knows that, and I think the committee looks at that. I don't think last year was as big an issue as they make it because, again, if it was a 16-team tournament last year, all 3 of them would have been in, and the SEC would have been just fine. It just wasn't a 16-team tournament last year. It was only 12, so those teams got left out. So if they go to 16, leave it up to the committee the same way they have, those teams they'll be rewarded. They'll understand. They get it. They know the tough conferences. These people aren't sitting in a room like idiotic to what they're talking about and looking at. They understand the SEC is really good. The Big Ten's really good. Like those conferences. Again, why I've said, I don't know why they wouldn't just take the 5 plus 11 because you're going to be the conferences that get most of those spots. Probably you'll probably every year get at least 4, but probably more than that on a yearly basis.
Yeah, and I would think the Big Ten's fine with it. Look, the Big Ten right now, they've been kind of out of the news. This has all been about the SEC. The Big Ten has won the national championship the last couple of years. Let's not forget where the Big Ten is.
Yeah, but the Big Ten is the ones that want the 4 automatic bids too.
Yeah, which, again, that's
they're
ridiculous.
Ones leading the auto bid charge.
That's ridiculous, too. But the Big Ten is perceived not to be as strong at the bottom than the SEC. And that's where they want the automatics, even though they're not coming from the bottom. But you want your automatics because there have been times with the Big Ten, you go, okay, there's 3 or 4 great teams and then a bunch of mediocre teams. But now you've had the additions of UCLA, USC, Washington, Oregon. So you got much more where a really good season can come from. This is Mississippi State AD Zach Selman telling CBS Sports, the human element is great, but there's got to be some more clearly defined metrics. Now, I've always said that for everything, from the selection committee in college basketball for the tournament, whatever. Yes, it has to be more defined metrics. He said, I've worked in different conferences before, 2 different power conferences, ACC, Big 12. And when you look at the depth from top to bottom of our league, it's night and day compared to what other people say. What do you mean what other people say? I think most people that are not biased against the SEC would look at the SEC and go, yeah, it's more powerful from top to bottom. And says the strength of schedule metrics often favored the SEC over the committee's rankings last season. The conference usually had the highest ranked 1, 2, and 3 loss teams. ESPN's Football Power Index, one of the metrics cited in the SEC's memo, preliminary 2025 season strength of schedule rankings, give the SEC the entire top 10 of the toughest schedules. But again, how do you put that into defined metrics?
Yeah, again, I mean, that's the thing. The committee knows that they're playing it. Again, they would have had 5 out of 16 last year.
I know. Do they want to say the 2 losses in one conference equates to 1 loss in the SEC? I'm sorry, 2 losses in the SEC equates to 1 loss in the other conferences, whereas if you're comparing a 2-loss SEC, 2 losses in the conference, and then let's say the ACC, there's a team with 1 loss in the conference, that the SEC team should always get the nod? No, you got to go individual basis, right? Are you comparing Clemson to Oklahoma? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Last year, Alabama, mind you, with a loss to Vanderbilt and a loss to Oklahoma, with their 3 losses, was ahead of 2-loss Arizona State, 2-loss Miami, 2-loss BYU. BYU was behind Ole Miss and South Carolina both as well, who both had 3 losses, and BYU only had 2. BYU had, you're already being ranked ahead of even with more losses, you're being ranked ahead of teams. It just didn't work out last year. I mean, Alabama was ranked number 11. It's just with the 2 conference champions were ranked lower than them, bumped them out of it.
Yeah.
They're arguing about things from last year that wouldn't even apply if you go to the 16-team tournament and do the things they're going to be doing anyway with the new tournament.
Then why do you think they are? I mean, Sankey's an intelligent guy.
Because
setting the tone?
They're just afraid of what if we have basically a bad year and we only get 2 or 3 teams in the playoff. That's the only thing I could come up with. Because again, I get the administrators want auto bids because they want guaranteed money. Like they want to know. Like show me for sure what we've got, not versus, well, historically we would get more, but may not get as much. They would rather just tell me the number every single year so that I know exactly what we're going to be dealing with.
Again, the 2 models you're looking at, the 5+11 or the 4-4-2-2-1, which would leave, again, we're talking 16. I'm glad it looks like they're going to 16 and not stopping at 14 and then eventually getting to 16, because that was always the plan, to get to 16. But that would only leave 3 at-larges. But it guarantees you those spots. I just don't I want competition to play out. And when you're automatically in, well, come on, 4 automatics for 2 different conferences. And then the ACC and the Big 12, how do they feel about only getting 2?
Both of those conferences, the first year that it happens where they get their 4 in and they feel they have like a 5th team that should be getting in but doesn't, and it'll be, especially if they go to these play-in games, it's because they took a loss in the play-in game and got left out because of that.
Right.
Then they're going to be then they'll want to go, we should have just done the 5+11 because we'd be getting more spots that way. Like no matter what happens, if there's one year where it doesn't go their way, they're then going to say we should do it some other way because it didn't work out for us this year.
God forbid if there was a year where they had 2 really good group of 5 schools. Let's say, for an example, Memphis had a 1-loss season, won the conference championship, beat Arkansas. They had 1 loss. Boise pretty much ran the table, 1 loss in the Mountain West. And you got those two, obviously the higher ranked one would get the nod. But with 3 at-larges, and you already got 4 guaranteed in the Big Ten, 4 in the SEC, 2 in the ACC, 2 in the Big 12, don't make the argument will be made by some that go, wait a minute, what about, let's say Memphis got in, Boise. What about Boise as opposed to taking a 3-loss, 5th-place SEC team? Or maybe even a 6th place, because with 3 at-larges, they'll probably get one of them anyway. I can't wait to see if that ever happens, that kind of an argument, because more than likely the group of 5 would fall on deaf ears.
It wouldn't be close because they don't. I mean, Army only, at the time they did it last year, Army had 1 loss.
Yeah, but Army didn't play anybody, did they, substantial in the non-conference? Maybe they did. But I'm just trying to think outside the box. A year that Memphis plays 2 SEC, well, they'd probably get the nod over Boise State in that scenario. But I'm just trying to think of a scenario where there'd be 2 incredibly strong group of 5 schools, and you're only getting 1 in automatically. So what would the argument be? Would it have to take like 4-loss SEC schools still better than that 1-loss team that came out of the group of 5? I mean, I understand to some degree that there's going to be a big disparity between the two as far as the overall record, but I mean, how crazy does it get if you played a darn good non-conference schedule where you beat a couple of Power 5 schools? So anyway, but that's, we don't know what scenario they're going to go with. It would behoove the group of 5s, and not like they have a big say in the matter, to have the 5 and 11 model, because still, maybe it can get crazy with 11 at-larges. But again, it's going to be the bulk of those teams, if not all of them, coming from those power conferences.
With the 5 plus 11, I believe it will be more SEC and Big Ten teams in than there would be with the 4 auto bids for each team, because I believe they'll get at least 9 or 10 between them every single year.
Well, I would imagine,
but you actually have to earn the spot.
Yeah, but if it's 4-4-2-2-1, those 3 at-larges are probably going to the SEC or the Big Ten. So that would get you up to 5, maybe 6. So the other one,
not necessarily, because if you're playing these play-in games, you're taking your next group of teams and adding a loss to their record because you're playing the play-in game.
Do they have to play the play-in games?
No, but that's why they want the auto bids, is to play play-in games to make more money.
Right. It's all about their ego. It's all about the money. But if you do that, it should be where you're chancing that team not getting in by having that extra game and that extra loss. I mean, losses at some point have to count. I mean, it just doesn't seem like they do. Yeah, we can admit SEC's better than the ACC top to bottom. But my gosh, I mean, a really strong ACC team with 1 loss that didn't win the conference championship, I mean, it's not automatic that a 3-loss SEC team is better than that team. Maybe they are, but that's why they want defined criteria from the committee. Like, what are you making? How are you defining that criteria? Like I said, do 2 losses equate to, in the SEC, equate to 1 in the ACC, or 3 to 1? I mean, what are you going to do? How are you going to distinguish that? I think that's going to be tough to try to figure that out.
Folks, if you are moving, got a move coming up of any kind, whether it's to a new home, a new office, whatever, wherever, maybe it's across town, maybe it's across country, talk to the folks at Black Tie Moving. You want to get the professionals on your side. Get the folks from Black Tie to come in, work with you. They'll come up with a plan, what fits both your needs, that's very important, and fits your budget as well. That's also very, very important. All you got to do is give them a call. 901-316-6196. That's the phone number. or you could go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to talk to the folks from Black Tie. You're always going to have a first-class experience. You're not going to have any worries, any concerns about things. And if anything does come up during your move, any questions that you might have, well, they've got a moving concierge available to answer any questions that come up during the process for you. So again, taking that stress, the worry out of it for you and making it easy on you and your family. Give them a call at Black Tie Moving, 901-316-6196, or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis.
When we come back, final segment, we'll talk a few of the draft possibilities for the Memphis Grizzlies if they hold on to that 16th pick. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home or office. Call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 or visit memphismoldinspector.com.
KFC Fillets at Mac. 4 delicious meals for just $7 each. That's great news for everyone. Except the driver in F1 the movie who only gets 2.5 seconds for a pit stop. 2.5 seconds? That's not enough time to indulge in juicy original recipe chicken. Oh, and he's gone. Creamy mashed potatoes, sweet pie poppers, and a medium drink. Well, the rest of us can take as long as we'd like to enjoy any KFC $7 fill. Then see F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt. Only in theaters June 27th. PG-13. Prices and discretion during this class. Lots of taxes and fees extra.
One thing Bell Tavern can say with confidence is that you won't find a better selection of bourbon, whiskey, and scotch anywhere else in Memphis. Maybe anywhere. With signature cocktails like the 3 Whiskey Old Fashioned, the Barrel Aged Manhattan, and the Spicy Margarita, paired with the whiskey flights like the Tennessee Bourbon Flight and the Maker's Mark Flight. There are more amazing drink options at Bell Tavern than you could possibly work your way through in one visit. In fact, it would take many, many visits to Bell Tavern to even make a dent in the extensive selection. Grab an Uber and head to Bell Tavern.
Is in the air, and it's the perfect time to grill, chill, and save with Choates. Install a new generator, tankless water heater, or Carrier HVAC system, and you'll get your choice of a free green egg grill or 36 months no interest financing. Stay powered during storms, enjoy endless hot water, and slash your cooling costs this summer with a high-efficiency Carrier system, and grill some slow smoke barbecue on us. But hurry, this special ends soon. And if you're dealing with plumbing or electrical problems, Choates is here for you too. Give us a try and take $60 off your repair. Leaky faucet, clogged drain, broken outlet, lights flickering? Call Choates and save $60 on your plumbing or electrical repair service. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com today. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Forest Hall. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Scholes.
All right, a couple of things, and then we'll get to talking about some possibilities for the Grizzlies in the NBA draft, which, by the way, is next Wednesday, round 1, and then next Thursday, round number 2. First of all, we have the Stanley Cup Finals tonight, Game 6, where the Florida Panthers can wrap it up. If they can beat the Edmonton Oilers, Edmonton will try to stave off elimination and force a 7th game. Panthers leading that series now 3-2. Last night, Shohei Ohtani returned to the mound for the first time in a couple of years for the Dodgers. I don't know what the game plan was, but he only pitched an inning. Was hit pretty hard, 2 hits, a run, 28 pitches. That's all, 16 for strikes. His velo topped out at 100 miles per hour. Was pretty consistent over 95. I have no idea what they were trying to get out of it, but at least he was back out there on the mound.
That was the plan. I mean, he was an opener. He was going to go either inning or 2. I don't know. I don't know if there was a certain number of pitches that was the situation, but or exactly where they, but yeah, it was just going to be an opener for an inning or two. Basically, it's just continuing rehab.
Also last night in Major League Baseball, Hunter Goodman, 2 home runs, 3 runs batted in as Colorado defeated Washington 6-4. That gives Goody 12 home runs on the season. And again, I think he's making a great case to be a National League All-Star. Also last night, Roman Anthony and Christian Moore each hit their first big league home run. Roman Anthony, the Boston Red Sox rookie, much heralded, and Christian Moore out of the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, it's probably, I'm going to guess both are going to hit more.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
But you always remember your first, right?
Both are really, really good. Obviously took Anthony a little bit of time here to get his first, but Christian Moore up now. And yeah, those are 2 of the really good young prospects in Major League Baseball.
So ESPN has put out a mock draft post-trade for the Grizzlies of Desmond Bane to Orlando, and they have the Grizzlies taking with the 16th overall pick Jace Richardson from Michigan State. Point guard, shooting guard, who is 6 foot tall. I like Jace Richardson. I liked his dad. I like his style. But no. Another diminutive guard? No.
Yeah, I would not. I don't think that's the route they would go. I don't. Not that it's anything against him. I just don't think he works with the Grizzlies.
Now, right after Jace Richardson is a couple of bigs, where they have Minnesota taking Thomas Sorber, center from Georgetown. Boy, Georgetown had a great run with centers, didn't they? In the NBA, they had a great run. I don't know if Sorber's going to be the next in line, but he's a big guy. And then you have the Washington Wizards with their pick at 18 via Memphis. Asa Newell, who is a power forward center out of Georgia, who stands at 6'9", 6'10", with a big wingspan. We've talked about it. Do they do a little pivot, Memphis, now that they have a first-round pick? What are they looking at? Do you get another big? Do you do it via draft? Do you do it maybe with the veterans minimum? Do you use that exception you have? I don't know what they want to do when they feel good about who they have in Zach Edey, but knowing that Zach Edey will probably not be ready to go at the beginning of the year. How much do you put into finding something there when you know that Zach Edey, or at least, the hope is that Zach Edey will be your big guy for years to come? How much of an investment do you make?
I don't think there's any chance they would draft a center at the first-round pick. I think if I assume they want to re-sign Santi, but if they think there's a chance of losing him, or maybe they don't, maybe they're willing to let him walk, then maybe they go with a power forward. But I would not. To me, you've got to get shooting. I mean, you're losing. Assuming Kennard is gone, which I think is a fair assumption, you're losing your by far 2 best shooters off your roster. You've got to replace them with some wing shooting. Again, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a good shooter, and he replaces some of that. But if you're losing Kennard and Bane, you still need more shooting to replace them.
Liam McNeely's a name that's popped up, but wow, his three-point shooting was not as strong. If I'm reading this correctly, he only shot 32% from 3, and he's 6'6" and 3/4. And I'm not sure what his foot speed's like. So I don't like him. Nick Clifford is interesting. If I could find his numbers as far as three-point shooting. Let's see. Nick is 6'5" and 1/4, so good size for a shooting guard. And I'm not sure exactly what he shot from 3. But he is the guy that played at Colorado State, that helped knock out Memphis in the NCAA tournament. I mean, I think he's certainly a viable candidate. And the other guy is that his name has popped up a few times, is Cedric Coward, the small forward from Washington. He played at Washington State, started at Duke, or vice versa?
He finished at Washington State.
Okay.
I believe.
Washington State. Interesting. Do the Grizzlies have a guy from Washington State on that team? Yeah, by the name of Jalen Wells, right? He went to Washington State, so maybe they could strike twice. But Cedric Coward, good size. I like him. I don't know. I mean, there's power forwards out there, but I don't know if that's the direction they want to go in. Danny Wolf's a good player. I like him from Michigan.
Yeah, Coward shot 40% from three this year. He went to Eastern Washington and then Washington State.
I like him a lot.
I would take him. Again, I'm taking a wing shooter, and one preferably that's in that 6'6", 6'7" range. If I can find one, that would be my list of targets. McNeely would be fine by me. Coward would be fine by me. I'd take Nick Clifford. I'd take any of those guys at that spot.
They could play a little defense too. Is nice. I'm trying to think. I'm looking at other wings that they have penciled in before Memphis. Boy, a lot of power forwards. There's a center, point guard in Fears. Ace Bailey's a shooting guard. Trey Johnson's a shooting guard. Oh, what's the guy? Now, he's never going to drop that far, but Kneppel from Duke. I'd love him. Edgecombe's a shooting guard. Dylan Harper's a point guard. So, yeah. Now, the one guy I'd like, I think would fit in nice, a guy named Cooper Flagg. I don't know if he'll last to 16. What do you think? What's the possibility?
I doubt it.
I doubt it as well. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. If Memphis, do you think Memphis will be drafting 3 times next week?
They may draft 3 times. Now, they will not draft 3 guys that will be possibilities for their roster for next season.
Little stashing?
But they will. They might draft 3 guys. I would probably, if I had to bet one way or another, I would probably bet against it, but it's not going to surprise me if they do and they draft some foreign draft and stash guy with one of those second-round picks and then maybe draft somebody else that probably ends up on a 2-way contract.
Yeah, there's a story out there, a little tweet that multiple teams, including Memphis and San Antonio, have pursued Rockets assistant coach Royal Ivey this offseason, but Ivey is expected to stay in Houston, according to that report. So every time a name has popped up for Tomas Isolo's staff, it has been a former player. A lot of guys out there, of course, are former players that are on staff, but not everybody played at the NBA level. But so far, every name I've heard, just have heard publicly, have been guys who have played in the NBA. Some have even been a head coach, like Adrian Griffin. All right, that's going to do it for us today. I want to thank you for listening, folks. Thanks to Connor O'Gara, to Sean McFetridge, and to Commanders head coach Dan Quinn for joining us on the program. Again, if you missed any of our interviews, we'll have them for you on the website. You can go to our podcast. We break it down hourly. SportsMemphis.com is the website, and we'll have the featured audio section up and running as well. Dan Quinn will be easy to find. He'll be right there in featured audio. Tomorrow, DeMichael Cole on the Grizzlies and the moves that they may or may not make, and his thoughts on the trade of Desmond Bane. Parthu Pajai at 9:25 on the University of Memphis Tigers men's basketball program. And again, Penny Hardaway will be one of the coaches tonight. That will be at the owner's box. So you can check that out. That's in Lakeland from 6 to 8 o'clock. The Tigers on tour. Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next for Eli Savoy and Elijah Seegers. I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.